and every American citizen.
This is a Fox 10 News Alert.
Where the overpass had collapsed.
All right, folks, we are now going to go back to more coverage here of the earthquake. We are getting some more information from our sister station, Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Let's listen to this breaking news event of a significant earthquake in Southern California on this 4th of July.
Control back is to be prepared.
Good point.
Why? Yeah, that is a great point. So, all right, let's bring in Hal. So, Hal, for people who, you know, they're new to this, they're new to Southern California, brand new. I got someone at home too who called me who said, "What in the world just happened?" Because we moved from Texas, not familiar with you know, the earth moving. What should be in your go bag?
Well, you should have a number of things in a number of different go bags. For one thing, in your trunk, you should have flashlight, battery-powered radio, extra batteries, pillow and blanket. You know, you could end up being in a position where if it were a really bad situation, you could end up sleeping in your vehicle, and so you'd want a pillow, you'd want a blanket, you want 3 days of water. So you want to make sure you have water. Now, you do the same in your garage, but in your garage, you make sure you've got enough for the whole family. And on our house, we have little lights all over the place. Some of them are little kind of gimmicky sort of novelty lights that, you know, you pull open the back, you throw a battery in, and it's got some Velcro, and you throw it on the wall. But in an earthquake, any light is going to be helpful if your power goes out and if it happens in the middle of the night. So there are a lot of things, and there are a lot of companies that actually make, a lot of hardware stores that actually provide kits that are actually boxed up with all kinds of things. You want Band-Aids, you want first aid material. You definitely want to be able to have chargers in a position that you have power. You can charge those cell phones, they'll go out. You know, if the towers go down, you got an issue with that. And another thing, it's a little late for this, but I would always say when you go home at night, make sure your car is full of gas, because you never know if the next morning you're going to end up with a quake. The gas stations are going to go down because the gas stations, without power, those pumps don't really work. I've got some updates here for you. First of all, a tsunami is not expected following this quake. There's no tsunami warnings from the National Tsunami Warning Center, and that would be for areas in California, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, and Alaska. Also in San Bernardino County, near the Searles Valley in Trona, comes word that they're conducting an assessment of that area. No injuries reported. However, buildings, roads, they sustain varying degrees of damage. And that's what's going to start happening now. We're going to start seeing what kind of damage may be revealed as people, crews, first responders, news media start going in there.
All right, Hal, we'll be checking back with you.
Sure.
We got to get right to Sandra. She's out in the field. Sandra, where are you?
Hi there, we're in Pasadena on Colorado Boulevard right now, and a lot of people waking up this holiday morning feeling that roller, which lasted pretty long time in terms of earthquake standards. And right here, we're at a coffee shop where this couple definitely felt it. What was going through your mind as you were sitting here feeling that roller come through here?
It took me a few seconds to process, because we were just enjoying catching up. He's my friend. We haven't seen each other in a long time. Just enjoying coffee and some pastries. And then he called it out. He's like, "It's an earthquake." I was like, "What?" And then I'm like, you can feel it, but it's not processing in my head. And then I just turned around to the window and I could see the lamps really shaking. And I'm like, oh, it's really happening. But it was intense. You know,
a lot of people think like it felt like rolling waves, like you were kind of floating on a boat, not a big jolt, right? But it certainly lasted for quite a while.
Yeah, no, it did, because we thought it was going to stop, but it kept going, and then the plants were shaking.
That's when you kind of knew, right?
Yeah, and you felt it like everywhere.
What about you? What went through your mind when you felt it?
I looked at the window over there, and it was like shattering, so it was pretty scary. And then it was like a wave that you said, like. So.
Now, did you react? Did you feel like you needed to go under the table or duck for cover?
I sort of wanted to get on the street and get away from the building, but yeah, we just stayed.
That seems like the reaction. A lot of people not knowing how to react, kind of waiting it out. Thank you. Enjoy your coffee. Let me bring in this woman here who's from London. This is your first earthquake. We asked you right before going on air live, but what went through your mind?
Well, I'm staying at the Hyatt place up the road, and I'm on the 5th floor, so the bed started shaking. I was watching the festivities on TV, and I was thinking, oh, the lovely parades at Huntington Beach and everything. Suddenly, the bed started swaying, and I thought, that isn't a Hoover upstairs or somebody cleaning the room. And I thought I better get out of here, so I literally just threw my clothes on and came out and wanted to get out of the building.
Was it what you expected? I know you heard about earthquakes in LA being this terrible thing.
Well, obviously I've heard of them, but I was worried that maybe this was going to be leading to another massive one, and I thought, I don't understand how they work here, so I thought just get away from buildings as fast as possible. But hopefully that's it. Yeah. Otherwise I won't sleep tonight.
Hang tight, you're okay. Thank you for sharing your story. The first thing she asked me was, are there going to be more, and are there going to be any bigger ones? That's always the big question here in LA. When will the big one hit, right? But certainly a big one this morning here in Pasadena. A lot of people, a lot of businesses feeling it as they're setting up this morning for the holiday weekend. Again, a lot of places opening later, and these people here, these workers and the owner, they're inside now, but they said they definitely felt it as well, and we will get more reaction here throughout the day. Let's send it back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Sandra. Let's start up really quickly. Early this morning at 10:02, we had a 4.2 quake, and then followed by a 6.4, between 6.4 and 6.6 earthquake out in the Mojave Desert, which is about 121 miles north of here, which was felt all the way from Phoenix to Los Angeles. And now we're checking in on everyone's probably traveling out and about for the 4th of July weekend.
Right. LAX is reporting they don't have any delays, nothing like that. We know a lot of people are traveling, probably headed to the airport. They're checking the terminals. They're checking the runway. They confirmed that on social media. They haven't seen any damage. That's also what a lot of police departments are saying all across the board. LAPD, Anaheim, Pasadena. For the most part, though, they are reminding folks that 911 is for emergencies only. We do not want to bog down those lines. All right, let's go to Demetrius, who is with the city with the latest. And Demetrius, where exactly are you? What did you feel?
I'm in California City, about 15, 20 minutes away from Ridgecrest. And where I live at, it's a highway that has a lot of 18-wheelers. So I thought it was like a convoy of 18-wheelers going by. Oh, wow, this is crazy.
How long do you think it lasted out here? We felt it for about 20 seconds. It probably was much longer for you.
Over here, it was about like 45 seconds.
Wow.
Like it just seemed like it would not stop.
Okay, so as soon as it stopped, Demetrius, what'd you do? Did you check on loved ones? Did you go inside, look for damage?
I'm assessing the damage now. So far, I can't see anything but the picture that fell off. And everybody is off right now. The kids are gone. The wife is gone. She's at work. And I'm just kind of here just trying to check the house and make sure everything is okay but the picture. And
so let's just bring everyone up to speed where you are. You're in California City, which is about how many miles from Ridgecrest?
It's about 15, 20 miles from Ridgecrest.
You're very close. We're going to show some video right now.
Let's see what we've got here of a chandelier shaking. Of course, we're seeing a lot of reports like this. Demetrius, and just for our viewers who may have missed it, what exactly did you see other than the shaking? I mean, what was some of the property? You said a picture frame fell?
Yeah, the picture frame fell, and the bottles of wine were shaking back and forth. And I went to the garage, a couple of boxes fell, which was nothing in there. Some of the things out the pantry fell, but other than that, everything else is pretty good so far that I can see. I don't see no cracks or nothing inside the house.
Well, we're just right. Everybody is pretty shaken, of course, and it sounds like you're by yourself since you said the wife was at work. All right, Demetrius, we are just so glad you're safe. Thank you so much for calling in and checking in. Thank you. We appreciate your perspective.
All right, let's go to Gina Silva, who's live in Huntington Beach. She's out in the festival. Did you guys feel it out there?
You know what? We felt it, but we didn't know it was an earthquake. We were inside the news van, and it started moving back and forth, and we just thought someone was messing with us, pushing the van. Armando got out, and to check, he's like, there's nobody there. Someone must be messing with us. We went back to editing as if nothing happened, and then we realized it was an earthquake, and a big one. You fellows here, ma'am, you felt the quake. Describe what it was like.
More of a rolling kind of a quake. We felt it kind of shift back and forth, but it wasn't really strong because one of the waitresses didn't even feel it.
Yeah,
she was moving with.
It was smooth, so
yeah.
You didn't panic.
No.
In fact, a lot of the other customers there, kind of a universal ooh. It's like it was a ride, And if you're from California, you're kind of used to these things. But then everybody started getting on their phone trying to figure out where it was. And I guess it's like 170 miles up in Ridgecrest. So it might be a little brutal up there.
Absolutely.
But,
6.4 is what we're hearing right now. That could change, but that is a strong one. Northridge, I believe, was 6.4 as well, and that was devastating.
Oh, yeah.
So that one must have been a hard one. This one was rather smooth. That's why we really didn't feel it that much. We didn't panic.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much. Let's go inside. This is Woody's Cafe in Huntington Beach. It's a very popular spot, and everybody here, they felt it as well. This couple, where are you from?
North Dakota.
North Dakota. So this was an experience for both of you.
Yeah, first one I've ever felt. So
describe it for us.
We were just at a red light, and the car started to sway back and forth, and we didn't know what it was. So.
What did you think, sir?
It felt like really gusty wind, is what it felt like, right? Because we were in a car, so it was just shaking back and forth. Yeah.
So, have you ever felt an earthquake before?
No, this is definitely the first time. Yeah.
Ah, so now you know. That's
now
you.
I know.
You know what it feels like.
Now I know.
Does it scare you? I mean, would you live here in California knowing this is earthquake country?
Yeah, if that's as bad as it gets. Yeah.
It was quite something. Thank you both for speaking with us. Everyone here, they felt it. In fact, the gentleman earlier said, it was like a woo. I haven't. Good morning. Did you all feel the earthquake?
Yes.
Yes? Let me move over here.
Yes.
Describe what it was like.
I didn't feel a thing.
You did, but you did, sir.
Yeah.
And I see you're from Arizona, so you don't deal with earthquakes in Arizona.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
And it was a little disconcerting. But, we're not used to it, and it's just unnerved us a little bit. But now that we're at Woody's, we're doing fine.
All right. I'm glad you're doing fine, and we didn't scare you off back to Arizona. Enjoy your vacation. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio. Yes, everybody here felt it, but luckily it was a smooth earthquake and not one of those really scary ones. I'll send it back.
We're saying it's far away, but tell him they felt it in Phoenix, so they felt it that far away.
And that just goes back to our point, too, is that a lot of folks may be visiting the area. They've never experienced something like this, so that's why we continue to say drop, cover, and roll.
I have a quick update from the San Bernardino County Fire Department. They tweeted that they are conducting an assessment of the region and no injuries reported. However, buildings and roads have sustained varying degrees of damage. So keep an eye on that. Let's go to Gigi, who's live in Sherman Oaks. Did you feel it out there? I bet you did.
Gigi.
Everyone seems to have felt this earthquake out here. And something interesting to note is that the 6.6 or 6.5 was preceded by some smaller earthquakes. And people here in California, well, we tend to laugh off the smaller earthquakes, but they are often foreshocks. And of course, that will be confirmed later by Caltech. But joining me now live are Clinton and Clifton Biddle. They're visiting, and they happen to be friends of mine. They're visiting from Littlestown, Pennsylvania, and this is their very first earthquake. Welcome to California, gentlemen.
Thank you.
What happened? What did you think it was? Did you know it was an earthquake?
No. So basically we were sitting and eating breakfast and we were talking to our friend Becky and talking actually about earthquakes, which was really weird. And all of a sudden, just everything started moving. It was bizarre.
It felt like we were basically like we were dizzy, and Becky said, the best place to go is like a nearest doorway so that you were structurally like in an area that would help us not get hurt. And so we did that, and it was quite an exhilarating morning here in LA for the 4th of July.
And I know you texted your mom back in Littlestown, Pennsylvania, first earthquake, and she's like, oh my God, are you okay?
Right. Yeah, it was like, it's obviously very concerning, but thank God it was, just an aftershock and we were that far away from the earthquake. Can't imagine what it would have felt like being there in Bakersfield or near the actual site.
Epicenter. Now, we're here in Sherman Oaks, and you said that the light fixtures were swaying and the pool water was just going back and forth.
It was still moving for a while, like later, like minutes and minutes after it all happened. We were standing there in the doorway thinking that it was done, and it just kept, you could feel the house was still moving.
The picture frames were moving back and forth, so definitely cool experience.
We don't experience this in Littlestown very much, ever, at all.
Like I said, welcome to California. This is your first earthquake, and you'll always remember your first time.
Thank you, Gigi.
Clinton and Clifton Biddle, have a good time and good stay. So as you said, it was, as you heard, it was felt strongly here in the San Fernando Valley, about 130 miles from the epicenter. And of course, we can only imagine what it would have felt like if we were closer to the episode. Definitely a very strong quake, and a reminder to all of us to be ready, because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Reporting live in Sherman Oaks, I'm Gigi Gracia. We'll send it back to you.
So, Gigi, are your friends coming back to visit us anytime soon?
Are you coming back? The anchor wants to know. Are you going to be coming back? to LA again after this earthquake?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
That's no question.
Absolutely. I wouldn't say scared. It was more just an idea of like curious and just, just an experience.
Just another amusement park ride.
Exactly.
Forget it. We love adventures.
Well, you know what, Gigi, have fun. Have fun. And now we have someone who knows all too well about earthquakes. Let's go to Dr. Lucy Jones. Lucy, Dr. Jones, tell us what we felt here. Oh, she's going live here.
Sideways compared to the other one. It is a strike-slip fault, which means that the ground motion was horizontal. But we can't confirm that until we actually get geologists on the ground to see what happened there. This is an isolated enough location that that's going to have greatly reduced the damage. At 6.4, this is the largest earthquake recorded in Southern California since 1999. Magnitude 7.1 hector-mine earthquake happened 20 years ago. That's the basic things I can think of. What questions?
It felt relatively long.
Okay, yes. The duration of an earthquake is a function of magnitude. How strong the feeling is depends on how far away you are. The duration is how long the Earth is producing energy. And earthquakes begin at an epicenter, but they happen along a fault. And they start at the epicenter and they rupture down the fault. That rupture speed is 2 miles a second. If the fault is 10 miles long, the earthquake's producing energy for 5 seconds. This earthquake at this magnitude, likely that the fault is at least 10 miles long. Probably right around 10 miles long, which would mean the Earth produces energy for 5 seconds, compared to the 4, that was the foreshock, would have been producing energy for 1/4 of a second. So what you perceive lasts longer than the Earth producing the energy itself because it bounces off of things and there's echoing. I personally started counting, but I was on the phone when it started, so I'm not quite sure I got the beginning right. I got about 10 seconds of shaking at my house here in Pasadena.
Oh, how did you know?
I felt it. Just like everybody else. I do not have shake alert working on the computers at home. The computers here in the lab did give an early warning for this by about, well, it would be a pretty long time because it's a long ways away. Rob, why don't you come join us? Yeah, he's getting briefed, and then we'll get the USGS representative here as well.
You said the shake alert worked. Can you describe a little bit about what that is?
Okay, so if we see right here is our shaking distributions. We have a system that recognizes that earthquakes are beginning and sends you the information that the earthquake has begun and an estimate of when shaking will get to you, depending on this travel time of the waves. So the system worked and said there's an earthquake of about 6.2. Producing energy, and the warning came through. Do we have a time of how much warning we got in Pasadena?
I have all that.
The final magnitude, of course.
48 seconds.
Okay, so in Los Angeles, there was 48-second warning that the shaking was arriving. Obviously, it was not damaging shaking. That's one of the downsides to this only approach that we have. Farther away you are, the more warning you get, and the less likely it is to be damaging.
And there's sensors buried somewhere, or satellites, or how do we know?
Okay, so how did we ever know there's an earthquake? We have sensors, they're called seismometers, distributed around Southern California. We record about 500 sensors here at the Caltech USGS seismic network, and they are distributed widely so we can try and catch them. As soon as we get enough nearby, we can see that that an earthquake's underway, and we send that information out. And in fact, one of the exciting things, these biggest earthquakes, they aren't at a point. So when we're trying to predict where we'll be affected, we need to know which direction the fault's going. We have a prototype system, and that worked here too, so we got an estimate of the fault growing as it was happening. So it's the first time we've really ever had that work.
Can we talk a little bit about the motion? Like, to me, it sort of felt like I was on a boat, and I felt a little nauseous. I've heard other people say the same.
Okay, so an earthquake produces energy at many different wavelengths. There's high-frequency energy that jerks you around, and there's low-frequency energy that rolls. The high-frequency energy dies off with distance more quickly than the low-frequency energy. Think about a boombox. You hear the car going down the street. When it's a long ways away, all you hear is the drum beat. That's the low-frequency energy getting farther than the high-frequency energy. So if you feel it as a rolling motion, you know it's pretty far away. So when I felt the motion, it felt pretty rolling motion, and it lasted for 10 seconds. I could estimate that it had to be at least a magnitude 6, and it had to be pretty far away.
For those who may be just joining us, I know a lot of stations are taking this live. Can you back up to the beginning? Are we having any reports of damage? Where was the earthquake centered exactly, the basics?
Okay, so the basics of the earthquake is near China Lake and Ridgecrest, so the area to the east of the southernmost part of the San Andreas Fault. The nearest fault is the Little Lake Fault, and that it might be associated with it, but we don't know. We have to have a field geologist to tell us. It is a relatively uninhabited, it's a sparsely inhabited area, so the number of people who would have received damage is much lower. I think we need to check what's happening in Ridgecrest and China Lake. Damage reports do not come here. We are seismologists measuring the movement of the ground. Damage reports go to the Governor's Office of Emergency Services. Rob, can I ask you to come join us? Sure. So Rob Graves is a seismologist with the U.S. Geological Survey and the regional coordinator for Southern California. So,
and let me just, so obviously we're here because we had an earthquake to celebrate 4th of July. We're going to have people out, our geologists are heading out into the field right now to see if they can document any fault displacement. Obviously, if any damage reports will come in. This earthquake was large enough where the shaking could have caused damage. One thing I would like to note is that here in the LA Basin area, because as Lucy was explaining, the waves, the low-frequency waves tend to travel further than the high frequency, many people out in the LA Basin would have felt that rolling shaking, whereas up here in the mountains, people didn't feel it as strongly. So we're going to have, even in the LA area, we'll have disparity in terms of the reports of the shaking.
I know it's still early, but any takeaways from this quake? Wrap it up for us now.
I'll let Lucy do it.
All right. There is a definition of the change in the news cycle. Usually at this point, you're still asking us what was the magnitude. And luckily now we can give an accurate magnitude very quickly. It is not yet an hour since the earthquake. One comment I would make, if you've noticed, we've had a lot of aftershocks. Now those in general are not being felt down here in the LA Basin. Up in the Owens Valley area, I am sure they are feeling lots of these aftershocks. I haven't had a chance to keep track, but we've had dozens, I think about 3 at this point. Yeah. We will continue to be having a lot of aftershocks. This area is also characteristically tends to have very robust sequences. The magnitude 5.1 happened very near this in 1982, and there were 6 or 8 magnitude 4s associated with that event, as well as dozens of magnitude 3s, and it went on for 6 months. So we should be expecting lots of aftershocks, and some of them will be bigger than the 3s that we've been having so far. I think the chance of having a magnitude 5, this is an off-the-top, not calculated thing, is probably greater than 50-50. Sometime this afternoon, we're going to be having a larger aftershock within this sequence.
Question for you. If considering its location to the San Andreas Fault, is there any threat to the San Andreas because of this?
No. No increase in risk. Well, maybe slightly. But we have never seen a foreshock more than 10 kilometers, 6 miles away from its main shock. And this is substantially farther than that to the San Andreas or to the Garlock Fault, which is another large fault capable of big earthquakes. That is significantly closer to this event and would probably have a slightly increased risk on Garlock. But I think the San Andreas is too far away even for this size earthquake.
But just keep in mind that the San Andreas is an active fault, and so there is always that risk at play.
It doesn't increase the risk. Yes. It also doesn't decrease it.
Exactly.
Can you describe the activity in that area in the months leading into this quake?
Yeah, we don't have that data right at hand.
no swarms?
No, nothing. Yeah, so if you're maybe asking, but we have had a couple of other swarms in other areas of Southern California in recent days. Nothing like that was occurring up in this area in the last couple months.
There was a 4.2 just about 30 minutes before the main shock, and that is a classic foreshock. But I know that when I saw that page come through this morning, I went, I haven't seen Searles Valley in a while.
Yeah.
So,
and there is also a slight chance that we could have an event larger than what we're calling the main shock right now.
That's about 5% chance for every earthquake. And like any other earthquake, this probably has about a 1 in 20 chance that this is not the largest event within the sequence.
Rob, can you spell your name real quick?
Yeah, R-O-B and last name Graves, G-R-A-V-E-S.
And your title one more time? Sorry.
Seismologist with the U.S. Geological Survey.
We're getting some feedback from viewers and users of the alert system, and they say that in Los Angeles it did not work.
It worked. It was not broadcast on Shake Alert.
Yeah.
The system worked, but the USGS parameters.
Can you elaborate on how the system operates? And
So and unfortunately I don't have the details as to what didn't occur or what didn't work properly. We're looking into that right now. So the system actually did detect the earthquake. It did work in terms of estimating that there was shaking that was going to occur. The signal apparently did not get out. So, the system is still being tested. We're going to have to, figure out what's going on with that. Obviously, we'll have updates later on today. Now, I will also point out the shaking in the Los Angeles region was not strong enough to be damaging in that sense.
So, to be clear, the signal was supposed to go out. It should have gone out.
Do you know that?
I don't know. I want to hesitate before making any definitive statements until I can sort that out exactly.
We don't know at this point whether it was.
Yeah, this is.
All right, the system in the lab worked, so that physically it worked. The Shake Alert LA system was set up with agreements that limited which alerts went out, because we get a lot of false alarms at the lower levels. So whether or not the shaking reached the parameters that should have been alerted, we don't know. And we're trying to find out. But remember, we're not even an hour since the earthquake. Please.
Have you heard of any significant damage in the LA area?
If there was damage in the LA area, something's really weird. This was not strong shaking in the Los Angeles area. So I would be extremely surprised if that were the case. But besides, damage notifications do not come to Caltech or the U.S. Geological Survey. They go to the Governor's Office of Emergency Services.
Should we be preparing for a big one?
One should always be preparing for a big one. This does not make it less likely. There is about a 1 in 20 chance that this location will be having an even bigger earthquake within the next few days, that we have not yet seen the biggest earthquake of the sequence. It's certain that this area is going to be shaken a lot today, and some of those aftershocks will probably exceed magnitude 5, which means they will become damaging. We do not expect, this is far enough away from the San Andreas that any impact on that system will be minimal. I think this would be a good time to remind you that if you have been experiencing earthquakes for the last 20 years in Southern California, you have been experiencing an extremely quiet time in California history. The last time we had an earthquake in Southern California above magnitude 6 was 1999. The previous decade had about 8 magnitude 6s. So this has been an extremely quiet, abnormal time. This type of earthquake is much more normal. On the long run, we expect earthquakes of this size. It's not even 6.5. The long-term average is probably once every 5 or 10 years somewhere in Southern California. So, remember, this is more what we should be thinking about.
But does that mean there's now more tension underneath it?
Yeah. No, I tend to... Well, we argue.
I would actually say it's about the same. As Lucy was explaining, this type of earthquake is more what we would expect. obviously, any earthquake that occurs releases some of that tension, but there's a tremendous amount that's built up since the last major earthquake, which was in 1857 on the San Andreas. So these types of earthquakes are kind of on the fringes of many of the other more active faults. This typically, this type of activity is actually very typical.
Lucy, you said we should be expecting lots of aftershocks. If you could just walk through what we should expect for the next few hours and how, like, will it taper off? How does that work?
Since I haven't had a chance to even count the number of aftershocks so far, I can't be accurate with this one. An average 6.5. The largest aftershock is about 5.5, and there would be about 10 4.5s and 100 3.5s. I think we have already had probably in excess of 20 3.5s. So that suggests we're on the high side. This is not generic. This is probably, there's a wide distribution between different sequences. We see factors of 10,000 variation in the productivity of sequences. The generic is the one I just gave you, 1 5.5, 10 4.5s. This seems to be on the high side, the upper 50%, right? So I would expect that there will continue to be magnitude 3s every few minutes, as there have been since this earthquake happened, and that as those many 3s come through, we're going to have several 4s. In fact, there was a 4.1 that happened about, I don't know, something like a minute ago. And somewhere in here, I said, I think they're going to get up about 5. Okay.
And for how long? You said to expect them for, like, we're talking about a 3-hour period, 15-hour period?
A few years? Okay, so yeah, not at this rate. Okay. However, whatever number you have in the first day, on average, the second day has half that number. Okay. The third day has a third that number. So the 100th day has 1% that number, which is not very many compared to today, but is a lot more than your background rate. Now, day 110 has 0.95%, right? It's not very different. When you get out into that tail, there's a long tail where we continue to have earthquakes. The last earthquake close in size to this is really Northridge. That was a 6.7. The last magnitude 5 to the 1994 6.7 was in 1997. So for 3 years, we continued to have magnitude 5s to Northridge.
And when was that one that you said 20 years ago?
The biggest, in 1999, we had the Hector Mine earthquake. It was October 16th, about 2:37 in the morning. Who could forget? And it was way east of us. It was out in the 29 Palms Marine Corps Weapons Testing Center. Okay. So it was very isolated. The damage was limited because of it. It woke up people across Los Angeles. I said 7.1. And that's the last time we've had an earthquake above 6 in Southern California itself. Easter Day 2010, there was a magnitude 7.2 in Baja California that was felt across much of the region, but it was actually located well south of the border.
Can you just explain, I'm hearing from my friends in the Inland Empire, and they seem to have felt a lot more than we did here. Can you kind of compare how the shaking would have felt across our...
I'm wondering if we can find...
Do you have a shake map?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I can't even get this. Let's see. Okay, because if we could, here's did you feel it right here? If we can, we don't seem to have our.
Let me see.
Okay, I will.
Well, while you resolve that technical issue, could you describe what the field teams do when they go to look for the?
Okay, so an earthquake actually is the movement of one side across the other. Now, like with Northridge, that movement happened in the earth, and the fault stopped before it got to the surface. This size earthquake, we have mapped faults there. It's probably through to the surface. So what they are looking for is a place where one side's moved with respect to the other. So you need something crossing that fault. I mean, you can see the disruption off usually, but sometimes that disruption is just shaking induced. So to be sure that you're seeing fault offset, you need to be sure you see something that got moved. So the first thing they'll go look for are the roads. If there's a road crossing this fault, you'll come along, and then there's the rest of the road. As a guess, at magnitude 6.4, the offset levels are probably 1 to 5 feet, probably on a few feet. So that means you come along the curb of a road, it then just moves over, and there's the rest of it a few feet over. If we can ever get this in control, we can bring up some pictures of such things from previous earthquakes.
Can you explain to me again what happened with the app? So the app didn't work?
We don't know.
Okay.
Okay. It is. We have just hit an hour after the earthquake. We know that the system worked, but the app has parameters that says don't give a message if it's below this level, and we don't know if this fitted or not because that wasn't decided here.
What did you personally think when you started feeling the rolling?
Oh, damn, I'm going to have to tell the family not to come over this afternoon.
4th of July canceled.
I have a whole pile of food in that refrigerator.
Press party.
Were you worried at all, or did you know immediately because there was so much rolling that it wasn't that strong here in LA?
Okay, because of what I felt, it wasn't strong in LA. I knew it had to be pretty far away. Of course, if it was down in the same distance down south, it might have been in San Diego. However, 30 minutes before it, I had gotten a message of the Foreshock, the 4.2, up in this relatively isolated area. So the best guess is that it's at the same location. And that fit with what I was feeling and assumed that that's probably what it was.
Can you describe or explain the characteristics of the shock waves and why something, say, in the West Valley could be felt very strongly, but then 5 miles away in Valley Village, nothing?
All right. There's a lot of reasons people feel or don't feel what. Are we getting it?
Yeah, I can't.
Here.
Technical. I can't see from here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's really pain getting. All right. That's shake. Excuse me. All right. So there's a lot of reasons you feel what you feel.
Here. You want me to?
It's there we go. And that's going to be pagers. Seriously? Okay. Okay. The magnitude, the bigger the earthquake, the more energy is produced. Distance, not from the epicenter, but from the fault surface. In this case, there's a 4.2 going on.
Yeah.
The waves are going to be arriving here in 27 seconds. We probably won't feel them.
You might feel expected intensity 1.
Right. Right. See this? Expected intensity 1 means not felt. Oh.
And the waves, so the red wave there is the...
This is the larger S wave here coming down.
So if this had been larger, we would be probably feeling some shaking in 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. But there's another 4, right? This is, I think there might have been a dozen 4s so far. Okay, so... Oh, that's not what I want. Let's see if we can look at did you feel it? So we see it by...
Here.
Yeah.
This is the one.
No, that's the shake map. Here. Why you feel something? Distance, magnitude, distance from the fault, local soil conditions. If you're in a flat area, you probably have ground beneath you that passes the waves through slowly. It's soil. When the waves move slowly, they still have the same amount of energy. They have to get bigger to carry that same amount of energy. So in a soft soil, we amplify the shaking compared to a hard rock. If you're in Griffith Park, you're probably, you've got nice solid rock, no soil amplification. Where we are right here, thickness of this soil, it's about a factor of 2 amplification compared to being on the hard rock. Downtown LA is about a factor of 5. Now you can also have even smaller, more localized ones when you have like a river channel. Think about it. If you have a drainage channel coming out of the mountains, that probably used to be a creek. And that creek would have left down soils, and that would have been even softer. Let me see what we've got here. Okay, yeah, you can sort of see it. So almost all of LA, we are coming through as what's about intensity 3. Intensity 3 is noticed by most people inside, often missed by people walking around, felt strongly by people sitting quietly on an upper floor. That describes most of the metropolitan area. So if you were in a car, you almost certainly didn't feel it. If you were walking, you probably didn't feel it. If you were sitting on your sofa in your living room, like I was, I not only, oh, I'm sorry. I realized you guys are doing this. I was trying to, all right. Let's do this again. Most of the Los Angeles area is intensity 3. And intensity 3 means felt by most people inside, much more rarely if you're walking around. Maybe felt pretty strongly on an upper floor where you'd get some extra moving of the building. And that describes most of the Los Angeles area. If you get in really close up to Ridgecrest, you start seeing these much higher intensities that imply there could have been damage in that area. So, but I extremely unlikely that there's any damage outside of Ridgecrest and China Lake. Those two communities, I presume somebody's in there trying to help them.
And we don't currently have a lot of reports up where that star is located. That's where the epicenter is. That's just because it's much less densely populated than in the LA region.
What reports are you getting?
Well, this is a shaking report, what's being displayed right here. It's not necessarily a damage report, and unfortunately, we don't get directly reports of damage.
Is this like a monitor, or is this a person when you say a report?
Well, these are actually reports where people, this is called the Did You Feel It? And you can actually go in on the web and type in your experiences. So this is actually collecting information from people who did experience the earthquake.
And encourage people to do that. The U.S. Geological Survey site, Did You Feel It? You can tell us what you received. At this point, there's over almost 24,000 reports have been brought in. That information is used to then calibrate between stations and what happens to people, and it helps us better understand what we're recording on our instruments if we can correlate it with what people have experienced.
Okay. When do you guys expect the next update?
Yeah, I would.
When you hear from the geologists.
Yeah. So just very briefly, we have geologists that are heading out to the field to see if there's any surface rupture. They might also be able to get some information about damage potentially. We also need a chance to actually look at a lot of the data that's coming in. As Lucia said, there's been probably hundreds of aftershocks recordings. We can get a better idea of what to expect in the next few hours by looking at that data a little bit more closely. So I don't want to make any promises, but maybe in the next couple hours.
I think we could also offer, if we wanted to, like on the hour, come in and give you any update that we've got at those times, at least for the next few hours.
Yeah.
And it is a holiday. People have a lot of special events planned. What would you tell people in the greater LA area about their plans today?
Unless you have to come in and work, go ahead.
Lucy's got lots of extra food at her house.
Yeah, I know.
Can you say your first last names again? I'm sorry, and your titles.
Okay, my name's Lucy Jones, Lucyjones. I'm a seismologist with Caltech. I'm also the chief scientist of the Dr. Lucy Jones Center for Science and Society.
And Robert Graves, ROBERT, GRAVES. And I'm a seismologist with the U.S. Geological Survey.
Thank you very much. How about we say we come back at 12:30?
Yeah, it's 11:45 right now.
It's quarter now. So, and then on the half hours, we'll try to come and tell you.
Great having you back here. It brings back memories.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Do you want to take a break and just and get?
I'd like to take a break and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I've been on.
As you heard there, Dr. Lucy Jones of Caltech saying this was a 6.4 magnitude earthquake, the largest since 1999 when we had a 7.1. That was 20 years ago. And she said down in Pasadena, it was about 10 seconds long, and there was a shake alert warning about 48 seconds. There's conflicting reports on that. But she did say there's apparently a 50% chance of aftershocks with a 5.0 magnitude.
Okay, so when you hear that news, it obviously, you know, you're probably a little bit nervous. One of the reporters out there was also asking, look, a lot of people have events planned. Maybe they're going to the airport, maybe they're traveling, maybe they're going to the parades, want to see the fireworks. What is the best advice going from here? Dr. Lucy Jones, who is our expert here in the Los Angeles area seismologist, said, unless you have to go to work, I would go on with your plans. So that's the good news, despite the fact that she said it's about, what, a 1 in 20 chance that we may feel something much stronger and larger than the 6.4 magnitude earthquake.
So right now, though, we do have a report from the AP reports that there are 24 medical and fire incidents after that 6.4 quake near the Ridgecrest area, so they're responding to that. Video right now of a liquor store in Ridgecrest.
Right. This video already has thousands of retweets, many people looking at it. It looks like the girl who posted this video said, this is my father's liquor store near Ridgecrest, which obviously they most likely felt it the most intense, right? The other thing, Lucy Jones, is you just look around at all the damage, you know, all the broken glass, debris. She said that it would be surprising if anyone here in the Los Angeles area reported any type of damage, because that's not necessarily the type of earthquake that it had. One of the interesting things that we learned too is the duration, right? That's one of the things people are talking about. Oh my gosh, it felt like 20 seconds, felt like 10 seconds, 15 seconds to other people. She said that what you're feeling with the duration is how long the Earth is actually producing the energy. And the fault where the epicenter is 10 miles long. So you just figure that, right? The energy has to travel these 10 miles, and that's what we're feeling, how much strength it had.
And to give you some comparison, this is 121 miles north of Los Angeles in the Mojave Desert. And it wasn't on the San Andreas Fault. That was another question that she was asked. There's no risk or increase of risk to the San Andreas Fault, which many people here in Southern California know. When you hear those words, you get very frightened and very nervous, because we think of the big one possibly happening when we hear the San Andreas Fault. But she says, right now, we're going to feel aftershocks every 3 minutes or so.
Okay, so here's the other thing. There's a lot of people on social media also talking about that Shake Alert app that they had downloaded on their phone, trying to get a heads up. It'll give you basically just a few seconds before the shaking actually starts. There's a lot of conflicting reports, because people are saying they didn't receive an alert. And when reporters asked Dr. Lucy Jones, she said they're trying to get to the bottom of it, but the bottom line is the system did work. As a matter of fact, during the conference, this press conference, there was actually a countdown. She said, well, we're going to start to feel some shaking in, and then there was a countdown from, what, 20 seconds? And so we didn't feel anything here, so that just gives you an idea how it didn't travel far enough. But nonetheless, going back to what do we have in store for later, well, it's unpredictable, but she did say that it's very possible we're going to feel another earthquake that is going to be stronger, most likely stronger than a 5 magnitude or 6.4.
So what you're seeing right now, we just showed you some video from Ridgecrest. We're having everyone's commenting and putting on our Facebook. But the interesting thing she also said, we have had many small earthquakes up until this point. And this is a larger one. We said the last one was 20 years, but she's like, we are due for another large earthquake. And this is a reminder to people to have your ready, set, go bags in your car, in your home. And it's easier said than done. Obviously, moments like this, we get, you know, we get a little bit of news and then we say, oh, we have to do that. We have to do that. Well, now's the time, because she says, Dr. Lucy Jones says, the possibility of a larger earthquake is imminent. That was her main takeaway there. She's like, take notice. But go on with your day, but take notice.
Right, go on with your day. And, you know, like she was saying,
she has somebody coming.
Right, she had a lot of family coming over. That was the other thing. Just to give you some perspective, you know, we're all human, and she's human too, despite the fact that she gets the call when these things happen. You know, we talk about how she's a seismologist and an expert, but did you hear what she said? As soon as she felt the shaking, she knew right away, just based on what she was feeling, that it had to be far, far away from us, because she did say that it's in an isolated location, 55 miles from Barstow. Many people reporting that they felt sick, kind of nauseous, and she also said the likelihood of you feeling it if you were standing up, if you were walking around, you know, obviously caught off guard, you wouldn't necessarily feel it. Those who were sitting on the couch or kind of staying put or still most likely have, you know, the best stories, obviously.
Well, we were talking to a couple of people. I grew up here. I'm very well versed in earthquakes. I have lived through a lot of them. We had an earthquake prepared closet in our house, and we hope people at home are paying attention and listening, obviously enjoying the July 4th, but after the 6.4, Dr. Lucy Jones wants to remind us the chance of a magnitude is a 50-50 chance of another 5.0 earthquake. So be prepared. That's our takeaway.
And you know what else is also interesting? She referenced that, you know, these earthquakes can happen at any time. We know we talk about the 4th, but remember in 2010, it happened on Easter Sunday. So everybody was waking up, trying to get around their plans. That was the Baja California quake. I'm sure Hal Eisner remembers that one for sure as well. The epicenter was in the Mexico area, Calexico to be exact. Hey, Hal, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You talk about, we've been here a long time. We've experienced a lot of things. And, you know, we talk about bracing down things that are important. When these happen, obviously, as they hone in on the area where the epicenter was, they're going to look for anybody who was injured. They're going to look for the kind of damage you're looking at on your screen right now in Ridgecrest at a liquor store. But out here, where this rolling impact went really far and wide from Palm Springs all the way here into L.A., all the way up into Vegas and all around, it was a pretty remarkable feeling. It reminded me of this Northridge quake, and I've told this story before, but I happened to be laying down near a bookcase when the thing hit at 4-something in the morning. The bookcase came down, karate chopped me on my leg, and I passed out. And because of the shock of getting hit by this bookcase, some neighbors came over. They got me too. I was fine. But the bottom line is that you really need to think about the things around you, because you never know when they may come tumbling down on you, and that's really important. Gigi Graciette is out there in the field. Gigi, where are you? What's going on where you are?
I'm in Sherman Oaks here in the San Fernando Valley, where everyone I've spoken to so far says they did feel the earthquake here. I'm with Hal and Carol Stallmaster. They were at home in Sherman Oaks. What did it feel like to you?
A rolling earthquake. Long, like 30 seconds long.
That's what I'm hearing from everybody, that it felt extremely long.
Yeah, and it was strictly rolling. Fortunately, it was not a shock.
Did you know immediately what it was?
Absolutely.
What did you do?
We were lying in bed watching the Wimbledon, and we just kind of looked at each other and waiting to see what more was happening, and it finally subsided, and we continued to watch the matches.
That look, do you feel it? It's an earthquake, right? Without any words, right?
Right. Should we go under the door or under the bed or what? But we just stood there, and I mean, we just kind of relaxed and knew it would be over soon.
6.4 magnitude, about 120, 130 miles from us, near the Ridgecrest area, where they are reporting some damage and a lot of foreshocks and aftershocks also.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I would imagine, because we felt it here, major.
Are you folks ready for the big one when it does happen?
No.
That's a good question.
Are you going to do anything to get ready now that we've all been reminded?
Got to think a little bit more about it, exactly.
Lots of water in the house, so that's good.
At least you have water and you got your Starbucks coffee,
Absolutely.
right? Carol and Hal Stallmaster, thank you for stopping to talk to us. Thank you very much. A lot of folks reporting the water in their pool moving, those light fixtures swaying back and forth. It was felt pretty strongly here. And again, like Hal and Carol said, it felt extra long. They said they thought it lasted as long as 30 seconds. But they didn't even get up. So, you know, we're a little blasé about our earthquakes, but it's a reminder to all of us that, again, it's not, you know, when, it's, or rather not if, but when. Reporting live in Sherman Oaks, I'm Gigi Graciette. We'll send it back to you.
Right, now is the time. You've all been warned, especially after the fireworks, so to speak, right? This afternoon and this morning, this major earthquake, 6.4 magnitude, that we continue to learn about. Remember, we are going to have an update from our seismologist, Dr. Lucy Jones, as well as a couple of the other experts coming up at about 12:30. They said they're going to start to update us every half hour after that.
Well, let's go to the epicenter in Ridgecrest. We're going to speak to Balmarie, who has felt it. What did you feel out there?
I was actually laying in bed, and I thought my husband was playing a joke on me, just coming in and shaking the door and stuff, and I felt a rattle, and then all of a sudden, I thought it was the base over here, the Navy base over here, doing a routine, prep that they usually do, and it was starting to shake, and then it got worse, and then I saw the wall start to sway, and then it got really, really, really bad, and I started to scream. I got hit in the head with an air freshener, and my cat started running around the room, ran into the bedroom, and more things started falling off the dresser and stuff. Then I heard my husband yell in the other room out into the living room, and then other things started falling off. The TV started swaying, the ceiling, and we're having one right now. Another aftershock right now underneath us.
Well, be safe
Be
here.
safe, right?
Get down
We
and
keep
cover your
reminding
head.
people.
It's pretty strong. And then all of a sudden I came out because I heard my husband, he's on oxygen. He said he had no air. I come running out through the bedroom door, and I see the hallway completely, everything knocked over. I saw cat cans. I saw books off the bookshelf, washer and dryer door open, cat towers knocked over, the chair knocked over. So I walked in through the thing, made sure his air was on. Then we looked around. I saw some figures off the top of the cabinets. We saw some air freshener things broken. And major structure, no damage.
Bonmarie, what you just experienced right now, we're just getting it in, is a 3.3 aftershock, which obviously you're not at all surprised. We're not at all surprised. The experts are saying, unfortunately, that's probably what we can expect throughout the afternoon. How's your husband doing? Was he able to get to the oxygen?
Yes, it came on just when I was going to get him a portable one. It turned back on, the electric came back on, and he got it just in time.
Okay, I'm hoping that you guys have contingency plans should you lose power for any reason.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And a matter of fact, like he said to me, we went around. I did take some pictures of the structure, you know, the stuff that knocked in the cabinet before I picked some of it up. So, you know, because this is my first. I'm from New York, so.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Bonmarie, this is your first. And how are your friends and family in that area? Have you talked to anyone else? Is everyone else okay?
No, all my family is back in New York, and so it's just me and my husband out here. And so it's one of my friends at the Tokyo house in Ridgecrest. I understand they got some, if you go to contact them, they got some really awesome pictures of what happened to them. They lost all their bar down there was wiped out and everything. They got pictures of it, was knocked out. They got some really good damage done down there in Ridgecrest, the Tokyo house.
Well, we're looking at video right now of a convenience store, and it looks just a mess. So, and you said you felt it was more of a jolt. We felt rolling, like kind of motion down here in Los Angeles. We're 121 miles away from you. What you felt was a jolt?
Yeah, we were sitting right on top of it, and it was a sudden jolt, and then started rumbling, and then the rattling like crazy, and the walls were just like swaying back and forth, the ceiling fans and the windows, and I mean, if you ever seen a cat run, these cats were taking off in every single direction.
Wow. Well, Bonmarie, we are so glad to hear your voice and that you and your husband are doing okay. I have to ask, though, because we've been telling everybody about these go bags. I mean, how has this changed your perspective? This is your very first quake since moving from New York. Has your perspective changed even?
Oh, I have one in my car, and my husband always says a credit card and tank of gas, but I'm the type of person that I always get extras of everything, and he always yells at me for, why do you buy extra this, extra that? And I always have mega amounts of food for the animals and lots of water and stuff for us and stuff. And he says, no, you don't need that much, you know, just this credit card and a tank of gas, and that's all we need.
Well, Bonmarie, you're a smart woman, because having grown up here and lived in New York 20 years, and I'm back out here, you need all the preparedness you can get. And we want you to take care of your husband there and take care of your stuff. And hopefully this is it. So take care of yourself.
I just told him, I said, I never knew it was going to be this close, and I didn't think it was going to be this early. I said to him, I never knew we were sitting on one of these faults.
Well, right. Well, Bonmarie, you all be safe. And, you know, if you can, share pictures with us on our Fox 11 Los Angeles Facebook page.
I will. This is on our fortunately, our cell phone didn't take the camera pictures, so these are digital. So if I have an address, if you can send us one or whatever, we can definitely send you in the pictures.
All right. Thank you, Bonmarie. It is the noon hour on a Thursday, 4th of July. We want to remind folks, if you're just joining us, this is the Fox 11 News at noon. I'm Rita Garcia, along with Megan Colarossi. We're following breaking news. We've been here continuing coverage with you for the last few hours.
This started at 10:30 this morning. We had a 6.5 magnitude earth located up near the Mojave Desert in Ridgecrest. It lasted, some people down here felt for 10 seconds, but up there it lasted longer. And this is the biggest earthquake since 1999, where 7.1 20 years ago rocked the area. And so
October the 16th, right, back in 1999. We've been checking in with our seismologist, Robert Graves, and also Dr. Lucy Jones, a very familiar name. She mentioned that what is the best advice she would give to people, since it is a holiday. Many people are moving around, going to parades. There's a Dodger game tonight. People are talking about whether or not they should go see the fireworks. And she said, look, if you don't have to work, you have the day off, you should just enjoy yourselves. But just know going into it that there is a potential and possibility there could be other quakes to follow, potentially stronger.
So what she said, there's a 50-50 chance of a magnitude 5 or greater. There's also a 5% chance of a larger earthquake, 1 in 20 chance. But what she wanted to point out, Dr. Lucy Jones wanted to point out to everyone, we have had a series of small quakes, and this is cyclical. The earthquake cycle, if you grew up here, if you know the area, if you live here, you know earthquakes are a common way of life here. But this is cyclical. She said we felt smaller ones for the past couple years, and we're due for big ones. She wants to point out to people we are due for a great one. But she did point out this did not affect the San Andreas Fault, which everyone knows here is the biggest fault line. There's no increased risk to that. But she said there will be aftershocks every few minutes, and the risk of a greater one is imminent. So this brings us up to our point about being prepared.
Right, and the experts are on their way to the epicenter now to really take a look at the damage and assess things so that we can go forward and learn from this. I want to remind folks you are watching KTTV, the Fox 11 News at noon. It's 2 minutes past the hour. Rita Garcia and Megan Colarossi here with you as we continue to talk about this 6.4 earthquake, the largest since we have felt here in Southern California since 1999. And of course, Dr. Lucy Jones also talked about that earthquake that happened Easter 2010 in the morning. So that just goes to show that these can happen whenever. And there's a lot of folks. We have been checking with our reporters all over the Southland. There's a lot of folks who are visiting our area who have never been through this before, saying this was my very first earthquake. The police departments all across the board on, taken to social media to remind folks that now is the time to be prepared.
And as we've been saying, people felt this all the way from Phoenix and down to Los Angeles. We're going to go to Sandra Endo, who's in Pasadena, who felt this as well. How's it looking out there, Sandra?
Hi, Sandra.
Absolutely. Hi. A lot of people starting their 4th of July holiday, coming out here, grabbing some coffee. We're on Colorado Boulevard, and you can see a lot of people talking about the earthquake they felt earlier this morning at 10:30, including the workers here at Umami Burger. Let's take a look inside. You can see those giant globes, the light that are here at the restaurant. These were swaying big time when the earthquake happened. And of course, we've been talking about the rolling feeling that a lot of people describe it as, and the duration. Let me bring in the manager here who was you were in the office when you felt it rolling. What was it like for you when it actually hit?
It was pretty scary. I mean, it was like that constant reminder of, man, this is real. Like, because, you haven't had one in so long, and it was scary. I ran out to make sure, of course, the staff was okay, but it wasn't too crazy.
You were just setting up. I was watching you set up, and you were opening up for this July 4th holiday, getting ready for the crowds here, and you were in that little office, and your workers were describing these globe lights, too, that are hanging from the ceiling. You were describing them as shaking, swaying back and forth?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were moving, came out here, and they were still moving right after. And then, I went out to the street to see if anyone else knew, and the people next door were just drinking coffee as if nothing was going on. So
yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. People who felt it, people who didn't, and talk about the duration. It felt kind of longer than usual.
Yeah, I would say maybe 10, 15 seconds. It felt pretty long. Of course, 10, 15 seconds in an earthquake feels like 30 minutes or something, because it's pretty scary, But it's just that constant reminder that we do live in a dangerous area and that it can happen at any time. And of course, there's the big one that we're all, anticipating. So it was at least relieving that it wasn't the big one,
Absolutely. Be prepared. A good reminder and a good thing for business that a lot of these bottles, those liquor bottles we saw up in Ridgecrest falling down at that liquor store, nothing like that happening here in LA, especially around this holiday. So clearly a good reminder. Again, a lot of people talking about, hey, we got to be ready. We got to be prepared. And a lot of people here in Pasadena feeling it or being nonchalant about it. Let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
Well, and a lot of people talking about just how long they felt this earthquake. Some people saying it felt 20 seconds, 15, 10 seconds. Dr. Lucy Jones kind of filled it in and gave us some perspective that is basically how long the Earth was producing energy. So that's an interesting perspective.
And she said it was very light down here because that shows too, we were 121 miles away from the epicenter. Let's go to Gina Silva. She's live in Huntington Beach. She was outside and there's a lot of people partying and getting ready for the festivities. How is it out there, Gina?
Yeah, well, everyone's talking about the earthquake. Earlier it was all about the 4th of July and fireworks and hamburgers, and now it's all about that quake. You guys felt it. Describe it.
It was kind of like a rolling motion, pretty strong for us, though. And it kept going and going. It really shook the house.
What did you think as this was going on?
I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. We have an apartment above our garage, so I kind of thought maybe that they were moving some stuff upstairs. But when it kept going, then I realized it was an earthquake, and I immediately thought about my wife and grandma living inside the house there.
Yeah, and what about you, Nicolette?
Oh, I was inside the kitchen just trying to prepare food for 4th of July, waiting for family to come, and I started feeling this rolling motion. It almost felt like the house itself was like on the ocean, like just rolling, and I could see everything moving, the chandeliers, and
at
so
any point did you
tried to
panic?
stay out of the way. I did, because you never know when the big one's going to hit. They talk about the big one all the time, and especially living here for many years in the older house. You never know. Got to be prepared.
Right. Are you guys prepared? That's the important thing, because we know we live in earthquake country.
Exactly.
Sadly, I don't think we're quite as prepared as we should be.
I know we should be more prepared. I know we always have like water and stuff set aside so we could just grab it and go, but you never know. Yeah. Got to try harder. Yep.
Absolutely.
Live in California.
This
all the
one
time.
was sort of a smooth one, but the ones that are so scary are the ones that are just really like pounding you.
Yeah, I don't like the jolting ones.
Not
Rolling ones I can take as long as they're not the big one.
Yeah. So everyone here is talking about the earthquakes. Yeah. These folks right over here. Hi there. Good afternoon. You felt it, right? Come on over here. Talk to us. We're live on Fox 11.
Okay.
What was it like?
It was like a rolling, like feeling at first that the house, the guy below us was actually moving something, and then it kept going on, and it kept going on. My wife said, "Oh, it's an earthquake," and then we came up, and within 2 seconds, I was over at the door with my phone in one hand and my keys in the other, and then it stopped.
You were ready to get out.
I am scared of those things, you betcha.
Yeah. What about you?
I was down in Huntington Beach, and my whole apartment started moving and everything started swaying and the roof cracked. It sounded like hundreds of pebbles hitting the roof at one time. And I still feel a little dizzy from it.
Yeah.
It was very strange. So I'm glad it's over and hopefully no aftershocks.
Yeah, it felt like it went on for a very long time, didn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
So are you both prepared for the big one? We're supposed to be.
We were just talking about it in our cars. I mean, we've got a backpack with a change of clothes, some food, some water, some dollars, a change of teepee. She asked if I had teepee.
That's important.
Absolutely. Some tennis shoes. I think
some single dollar bills.
Yeah.
It's always good to have singles.
Yeah, you gotta have cash.
But low denomination.
So anyway, yeah, we actually do have things in our cars.
And you've felt earthquakes before?
Yes.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes.
Yes, there's a trade-off in California, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful state.
Yes.
We've got the beach, the great weather, but unfortunately, yes, it is earthquake country, and we have to be prepared, and most of us are not.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's true.
Yeah.
But after the last one, we were determined to make sure we kept that up to date in the car.
Yeah.
And then at home, we have the same thing, pretty much in a larger scale.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great 4th of July.
You too.
Now you have a great story to tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on the 4th. Huge earthquake. All right, I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio. Yes, everyone here. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? Everyone's talking about it.
Well, it definitely woke everyone up here in Los Angeles, and especially, obviously, in Ridgecrest, where the 6.4 magnitude earthquake was the epicenter. We were saying this is 121 miles north of us here in Los Angeles. We all felt it. And now we're going to go to someone else.
Right. Our seismologists, our experts are definitely at work right now. Susan Hirasuna also over at Caltech. And Susan, we heard Dr. Lucy Jones saying the next update will be at 12:30, so 20 minutes from now. What do you have for us right now? What's the latest?
She said that part of what their reservation was on promising another news conference was that their seismologists are on their way to China Lake, the Ridgecrest area, to see whether or not on the ground level that there's some kind of disruption, so they know for a fact how far the shock waves of that earthquake got and whether they got to the surface, whether there's any damage. Now, I know you've shown that video from Twitter that shows what happened in a liquor store. The seismologists, of course, are more interested in what is happening with the fault lines there. Now, you already know the basics that the quake registered at 6.4 at about 10:33 this morning, but what's also interesting is there was a foreshock of about 4.2, and then what Lucy Jones says was dozens of aftershocks, and that will continue to be the case in the course of today and tomorrow and in the days coming. So for us in the Los Angeles area, they say that the intensity is at about a level 3, meaning if it's far enough away, you may or may not have felt it. Now, I know you talked to a lot of people who did feel it. I was driving. I did not feel it. My son lives in the West Valley area. He called me immediately and said it was quite dramatic at that house. But then 5 miles away in Valley Village, I was talking to somebody who said did not feel it, called his kids, did not feel it, but noticed that the water was rocking just a little bit. I also got a report of some people working out in a gym, also in the Studio City Valley Village area, and some of those people felt it. And one man apparently had a heart attack because of the rocking and the rolling. But it's interesting how people will have various experiences. I've also heard that people were in the same room and some felt it and others did not. But as far as Caltech is concerned, you know, they're looking at the numbers. They're looking at all of the aftershocks that are coming in right now. And also Dr. Jones warned that the possibility of having an aftershock over 5 magnitude is quite possible indeed.
Right. She mentioned, what, 5% chance that we could feel something much stronger.
Well, I was going to ask
this afternoon.
Susan,
higher than that.
Higher than that. Well, it's 50% chance for 5.0 magnitude or greater, and 5% for something larger than that. But Susan, a lot of people are talking about the shake alert.
And that she was spitballing. She doesn't know an exact, you know, what the exact percentage is, but she thought, well, about 50-50 chance.
Right.
She was doing it on the fly and doing it pretty well.
But you know, Susan, she did mention, because there's a lot of folks who have plans today, right? What did she say? Should you go out? Should you continue with your 4th of July plans? If you're not a seismologist, you can probably go out and have the plans as normal. But for her, she knew as soon as she felt the rocking that she was going to have to come in here, deal with all of us. This is a very crowded room right now. And she made a joke about how she has a lot of food in her refrigerator. And so her family has to figure out what else to do for the 4th of July. But chances are very good. You'll all be fine. The activity, the strongest activity, as you know, was in that Ridgecrest China Lake area. So this far away, it has dissipated. It had dissipated quite a lot. But it is sort of interesting, isn't it, how some people could have felt it and other people just not very far away didn't feel it at all. It has to do with the characteristics of the soil and how the shock waves travel. If you're on hard bedrock, chances are you would not have felt it that much, maybe a little bit of a shake. But if you're on softer soil, you know, the intensity is going to be a little stronger. It was a little discomforting to hear that in the downtown Los Angeles area, that area might be an intensity of 5, meaning that the ground there is just softer and gives more. So that was kind of hard to hear because, of course, we know how overdeveloped and how many tall buildings there are in the downtown area.
Well, Susan, I have to ask you, a lot of people, we talk about the Shake Alert app. Some people, you're talking about feeling it. Some people did not get the alert. And there was conflicting reports with Dr. Lucy Jones saying, did it work or not? What's the status on that?
She likes to point out that it's been, at that point when she was talking to us, it had been less than an hour since the shake had actually happened. So there was a lot of information that they don't yet have, and a lot of information that will come once they get to the area, once their seismologists get to China Lake, get to Ridgecrest, and they can look at the ground and what it has done. As far as the shake alert is concerned, they know for a fact that the settings do not send out an alert unless it reaches a certain magnitude. So it's quite possible that in areas of Los Angeles where you are, that it just didn't trigger the shake alert, but they just don't know. They know that it worked here in Pasadena. It worked here for the system. Right. But whether or not that then triggered the alerts that went out to the apps, and depending on where you were, That's what they're trying to figure out. They do not know. They don't have a final answer on that one as yet.
Right. The USGS is putting out tweets kind of trying to clear up some of the confusion since people have downloaded this app and they're asking. Bottom line is the Shake Alert app will trigger and send out an alert when it's a magnitude 5.0 or greater. And it looked like shaking from this particular quake, despite the fact that it was a strong one, 6.4, the shaking was at a 4.5. So that may be why people didn't necessarily get that alert. But Susan, during that news conference, we saw that the system was working, right? Because there was a countdown. Right. Dr. Lucy Jones said at one point, well, we're about to feel some shaking, or some folks are.
Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly. And the other interesting thing about how far, the greater Los Angeles area is from the epicenter is that you could have gotten a 48-second warning that a quake was coming, that a shake was coming, because it was so far away. But by the time those shock waves get to us here in the Los Angeles area, they've dissipated so much that it probably would not have triggered an alert on your phone or what have you. So that they know they can measure it. They know that it's a 48-second warning, which would be great. But again, if it's not strong enough to really trigger that alert, you're not going to get it.
All right, so Dr. Jones just put out a tweet. Let me go ahead and read this for you so that we're all up to speed here as we look at a map of where the epicenter is. She says the Ridgecrest earthquake is having a robust aftershock sequence. There have been 6 magnitude 4 or greater events and looks like a little less than 30 magnitude 3 in the first 90 seconds. So what that means and translates to, this is coming from her social media, that means there will be plenty more aftershocks today, which she has been talking about. But that doesn't mean ruin your plans. It doesn't mean stay indoors. That, you just have to be prepared. As we've been saying, a lot of people, Susan, that we've been talking to and we've been checking with reporters all over is this is the first time they've ever experienced something like this. They're new to the area, maybe they, visiting the area. Nonetheless, it was definitely some fireworks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have some guests at my home, and they're from Florida, and they never felt anything like this. So this was quite an eye-opening moment for them. And but then, things went back to normal fairly quickly, from what I understand. So, yeah, for a lot of people, 20 years was the most significant quake back in the Hector Mine area, and even that was far enough away that you probably didn't feel very much of it if you are here in the Los Angeles area. So, yeah, she says that it's been uncharacteristically quiet for Southern California, which, of course, makes those of us who've been covering earthquakes for a while a little nervous, because does that mean then, yes,
the big one is coming, right? It's a little unsettling.
The big one.
Well,
exactly.
she did point out, like she said, we've had the small earthquakes. The big one and the San Andreas Fault was at no risk right now. There's no increased risk right now. But that brings up the point of our preparedness and what we should do.
Susan, so just to clarify,
Absolutely.
Is she going to give an update then at 12:30? So in just a few minutes, less than 15, will she, or has she said?
That was the plan, yeah. Absolutely, that was the plan. And the other seismologist here, Rob Graves, was apparently sort of going with the idea that maybe we should wait till we hear back from the seismologists. Now, from here, I don't know where the seismologists are being dispatched, but China Lake is 155 miles from here. So it's going to take them some time to get out there and check out the terrain. But no, it was Dr. Jones who said, no, I tell you what, let's do an hourly, next one at 12:30. So we're just waiting for them now to come out.
So the experts are headed out there. We know they're looking at fault lines. We know they're looking at damage as well. All right, Susan, thank you. We'll be checking back with you, obviously. If you're just joining us, major earthquake 6.4. We expect to have an update from our seismologist, Dr. Lucy Jones, as well as Robert Graves from Caltech coming up at 12:30. So stick with us. Until then, though,
we're going to go now to Ridgecrest. We have someone on the phone, Dr. Thomas Talaferro, who experienced this. What did you feel, doctor?
It felt like I was going surfing. The first one, the 4.2, we definitely felt it as kind of a rolling type of a quake that we're used to, but not at that level or intensity. And then about 20 minutes later, the 6.4 hit, and that one you definitely knew, get out of the house and just take cover somewhere. So everyone was out in the street, away from their house. I went and checked my office, and anything that was not attached to the wall with like your picture wire, it all came crashing down. Oh, wow. So we had a mess to clean up there. Not as bad as some of the stores I've heard. I've heard and seen on TV, grocery stores and liquor stores, shelves just totally coming off and everything crashing around. We've probably had at least a dozen aftershocks since then. Some of them have been enough to get us out of the house again. We're just ready for the fireworks and ready for it to be over.
So, Doctor, I have to have you heard of any reports of injuries in your area? Hopefully you all are all safe.
I haven't heard of any injuries. I do know that several commercial places are without power. Several restaurants on the northeast side of town, close to the base, those restaurants lost power. Some housing between the Inyakern Road and China Lake Boulevard, which are the east-west main streets. There's some power out there. I live in between there. I didn't experience the power loss. So we are being advised to turn off gas, because apparently there's several gas leaks in town.
Well, this is your first time experience, or how many have you been through up there?
Oh, I was in Thousand Oaks during the 1972 one, so I'm from California, but this one was probably as close to being there when I think I was like 10 back then. So, yeah, this one was a pretty big one.
Well, it can definitely rattle you, and we hope you are safe in there and you have your ready, set, go bag ready to go, and hopefully there will be less aftershocks.
And you mentioned that there are reported gas leaks, so we'll have to check on that. And as far as electricity, you know, we've been checking in with other folks out there. Doctor, one woman whose husband is on oxygen, so it's obviously a necessity, the power. So you be safe, Dr.
Thank you.
Thomas, and like you mentioned, you just want to go about your day and watch fireworks.
Yeah, now your news chopper was just overhead flying around, and they might want to go check out the Garlock fault. I'm not a seismologist, but my understanding is the Garlock fault is the only fault that runs east-west, and that was the kind of feel that I experienced. You know, it might not have been from that fault.
No, you're pretty close. Dr. Lucy Jones, the expert seismologist, says that's the fault line to watch up there. So you are correct, my friend.
And be safe, given the fact that there will be more aftershocks, as you know.
Be safe, Doctor.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Happy New Year.
You too.
Excuse me. A little
right.
Right now.
Right. It came in with a bang for you. So happy 4th. Be safe.
Literally.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, and did you hear him, how he said, I just want to watch the fireworks? I think a lot of folks are off today. They're kind of, you know, in that relaxed state, enjoying it with their families, and just excited for later tonight. So,
but the frightening thing that Dr. Lucy Jones did point out, and having grown up here and having experienced earthquakes since the 70s, you sit here, and she said these little ones have been telling us. It's a sign. They've been telling us the big ones have not come, and they will come. It has been 20 years since a 7.1 in 1999, October 18th, you said? Or
right,
16th?
October 16th is what she said, 1999. But she also said it's been relatively quiet, all these fault lines. And as a matter of fact, we have some soundbite from an earlier news conference. Dr. Lucy Jones is going to give us an update at 12:30, but until then, here is her best advice when it comes to aftershocks.
Comment I would make, if you've noticed, we've had a lot of aftershocks. Now, those in general are not being felt down here in the LA Basin. Up in the Owens Valley area, I am sure they are feeling lots of these aftershocks. I haven't had a chance to keep track, but we've had dozens, I think about 3 at this point. Yeah. We will continue to be having a lot of aftershocks. This area is also characteristically tends to have very robust sequences. The magnitude 5.1 happened very near this in 1982, and there were 6 or 8 magnitude 4s associated with that event, as well as dozens of magnitude 3s, and it went on for 6 months. So we should be expecting lots of aftershocks, and some of them will be bigger than the 3s that we've been having so far. I think the chance of having a magnitude 5, this is an off-the-top, not calculated thing, is probably greater than 50-50. Sometime this afternoon, we're going to be having a larger aftershock within this sequence.
Well, that's someone you definitely want to listen to. You just heard Dr. Lucy Jones, who's the preeminent earthquake expert here and across the country and around the world, and you better be prepared. There is a 50-50% chance for a 5. 4.0 magnitude earthquake or greater, but what she did point out earlier was the duration and how long and what we feel here, because it was a 6.4 and it's over 120 miles north of us. So what we felt here is less, because the duration is how long it's producing energy, how long that quake is producing energy.
She said so she would be surprised if there were reports of a lot of damage like here in the Los Angeles area. And it's interesting to hear people's perspectives. She also talked about how, like, if you were walking, or like Susan who was driving, she didn't necessarily feel anything. But if you're kind of sitting on the couch, then absolutely you're going to feel something. Gigi's got friends in town too. Let's check in with Gigi in Sherman Oaks. Some of her friends are going back with quite the story to tell, quite the experience.
Going back to Pennsylvania.
Right.
Gigi, what's going on there?
They are from Littlestown, Pennsylvania, brothers Clinton and Clifton Biddle. And it's interesting to note because they've been hanging out with us here at the news van, and their phones have been ringing nonstop. As a matter of fact, your mom just texted asking you if you had power, because Fox 43 in Littlestown, Pennsylvania is talking about the earthquake we had here in California. And obviously, there's a lot of concern when folks in Pennsylvania hear earthquake.
That's right. They're asking, like, do we have power and all these things. So, and as we're hearing that there are some things going on with, like, water lines and fires and things, so it's pretty crazy.
A lot of concern from the folks back home.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, like, obviously, like, what LA people have to deal with. Like, we deal with certain storms and severe, weather back home. We're here, earthquakes, and preparing their homes and just making sure that, they're ready for these precautions before they even happen. It's really.
And you notice everybody talking about it. We just went into a little small place to get a smoothie, and as I was walking in that restaurant, you would hear people asking other people, did you feel it? That's the big line here. Did you feel it?
Exactly, yeah, and we definitely felt it.
It basically felt like you were almost like on a boat. It felt like you were like kind of going with the waves. I thought it was the dog that hit my chair, and it basically was just felt like you were moving from side to side.
It's funny, those first few seconds, you always sort of wonder what it is. You thought the dog hit your chair. You thought you were just having a strange dizzy spell.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It just felt like I was kind of dizzy, and then I was just like, are we having an earthquake? And Becky's like, I think so. And then we went underneath so, yeah, it's crazy.
Was it what you imagined it to be?
No, it was different, I think, because I don't think we realized how, like, far, wide-based it could be. Like, we're talking about where we were at, and everybody else experiencing the same thing, but in different ways. Like you said, if for some reason, like, the house would have been closer to downtown LA, there could have been a lot more damage just because of where it sprung from. So
if the epicenter had been closer to us, I was telling the boys that if a 6.4 earthquake happened and the epicenter was right near us, there would have been a lot more damage, and it would have been a lot more severe.
Absolutely. We're very lucky.
Thank God it wasn't. Yeah.
It's all part of our history. It's all part of, like, what the earth is going through with our changes and stuff throughout the.
And taking the story back to Littlestown.
Yes.
And can I say, how many stoplights do you have in Littlestown, Pennsylvania?
Two.
Exactly. Good story to take back. And I know your phones are ringing off the hook. Folks asking, it's an interesting perspective because, we're used to earthquakes, but people out of state, they hear about that, and mom is just texting them, are you guys okay? Do you have power? Is there damage? Were you hurt? Because they imagine it much different than it is when it's 120 miles away. Anyway, that's the latest here in Sherman Oaks. We're going to continue talking to folks. A lot of people out, and everyone that we've been talking to so far off camera tells us, yes, they felt it. Sending it back to you.
Well, all the moms are checking on us. My mom checked on us. Rita's mom checked on her. Everyone's checking in. The interesting thing here is everyone loves to come visit Los Angeles. And if you grew up here or you lived here a long time, it's a way of life are earthquakes.
And speaking of checking in, I want to mention Kern County Fire just put out a tweet 10 minutes ago. So you've got 5 minutes now to alert your family and friends if you know that live in the Ridgecrest area. They're saying another possible earthquake has been predicted within the next 15 minutes in or near Kern County. So again, for people like us who are a lot further away, since this was such an isolated location, we can expect more and more of those aftershocks. Some of them not so strong, but unfortunately, like Dr. Lucy Jones was saying, it is very possible that we're going to be seeing a lot more activity, and it's possible we could see and feel another earthquake that is stronger than this 6.4. But again, Kern County Fire is saying another possible earthquake has been predicted within the next 15 minutes in or near Kern County. They tweeted that 11 minutes ago. So if you have the phone nearby, you have family or friends that live in Ridgecrest, you want to give them a call right now.
That's right. And currently we're sending reporter Bill Malusian up to Ridgecrest to be reporting from the 5 and 10 o'clock live from there to give us updates on the status, what's going on. We have reports, over 20 reports of medical and incidents and fire incidents in the Ridgecrest area. So we're going to be on top of that tonight if you have loved ones up there. And it's a heavily military presence up there. So a lot of military families up there, and obviously a lot of people celebrating the 4th of July, a lot to celebrate today.
So people are outside, most likely feeling everything that's going on. Kern County also saying they are responding to nearly 24 incidents ranging from medical assistance to structure fires in and around the city. We just talked to Dr. Thomas, who lives out there, and he was saying that there were reported gas leaks. Okay, Dr. Lucy Jones from Caltech going to the podium right now. We believe we're going to get another update on this after this major earthquake. Let's listen.
So they're operational for when they do.
It looks like
just a second.
Right, they're still setting up and getting things together. But as she's been talking about, this was a major 6.4 earthquake. She explained that she was at home. She lives in Pasadena. She felt the shaking for at least 10 seconds. And that's when she knew I have to not only head to work, but she also knew that this was going to be in an isolated area. Can you imagine? That's how much of an expert she is. She knows based on what she's feeling, because there were some people who reported the feeling that they were nauseous. She said she felt, as well, the same thing.
She knew the epicenter was far, and as we've been saying, the epicenter is over 150 miles north of here. And Caltech obviously knows what they're doing. They have about 500 sensors in and around California that catch all of these earthquakes. And currently, she said, these have been small ones, and we just had a big one. And we're due for a big one. And she was going to go back after her first report around 10:30 this morning, 10:40, excuse me, rather, and tell us what the update was.
Something else that Dr. Lucy Jones has talked about is the Shake Alert app. There's a lot of people on social media that have downloaded it saying, I didn't get an alert, I didn't have a heads up. Well, the USGS put out some clarification that the Shake Alert will trigger and send a user an alert if the shaking is a magnitude 5.0 or greater. In this particular case, it was a 4.5.
By the time it got here to Los Angeles.
So that is why many people may not have received an alert, but you never know. They might reassess. They might consider making some sort of changes, and maybe she'll talk about that right now because a lot of questions she was taking about why the Shake Alert didn't work for a lot of people.
And what she did say, Dr. Jones, she did say the chance of a magnitude 5.0 or greater is 50-50. So that's possibility happening, and the slight chance of a larger one is 5% as well. You can see Susan Hirasuno is there right now, and we're going to go to you right now.
All right, so you see there, Dr. Jones, so we're trying to bring you the next news conference with Dr. Jones, and also I see, right now she's trying to set everything up, so she's a little busy. There's a little technical issue that they want to address before they start the next news conference, but they're fully aware of what the time is, since they promised the next news conference at 12:30. It's a little bit after that, so they're just calling up some of their graphics up here on the monitor, but we have a lot of questions that we want to ask. Kern County just tweeted out something that suggested that they were anticipating an earthquake in 15 minutes. So as soon as they get this all going, we can ask that question, as well as whether or not they've figured out about the Shake Alert app, and why is it that people who have that app did not get any kind of notification of the quake. So we're just kind of watching. I'm kind of watching what they're doing, and as they're kind of zeroing in on an area that they want to focus on. But yeah.
Hey, Susan, also, can you just recap for us? I know that many people are obviously probably feeling on edge and a little concerned for the simple fact that she did say, Dr. Lucy Jones, that it's possible we're going to be feeling a lot more aftershocks. What should people do if they have plans? I mean, it's a holiday. Many people are off today. Many people are out for the long holiday.
She basically said, continue as normal. Enjoy the holiday. If you're closer to the epicenter, you're probably going to need to be a little bit more cautious. I'm going to let Dr. Jones take over.
We said we'd come back at 12:30. 12:32, we got pretty close. Let's see. Begin with a recap just of what we got.
Yeah, okay. So
our names. Lucy Jones with Caltech.
And Rob Graves with the U.S. Geological Survey. So we're just giving an update about this morning's earthquake.
Searles Valley.
Searles Valley earthquake is what we're calling it, magnitude 6.4, up in the area near Ridgecrest. We have some updates in terms of aftershocks. We have a little bit of information about damage, potential damage. We do still have geologists going out in the field, but we haven't gotten word back from them yet. And we also have some updates in terms of the shake alert system. So, Lucy, why don't you start in terms of the activity with seismicity?
Okay, so on the aftershocks that we've been recording, so far we have about 30 that are above magnitude 3 and 6 above magnitude 4. Overall, this is a very robust sequence. And on the theory that when you have a lot of earthquakes, you tend to have a lot of earthquakes, we try to estimate the rate of aftershocks from what we're recording. And from that, we have about an 80% chance of at least one magnitude 5 and about a 9% chance that something larger than 6.4 could occur over the next week. That's just saying this is a big sequence, which shouldn't be surprising anybody who's been watching what's been going on for the last 2 hours. We also have locations on some of them, and that's where we were trying to get up this this map here. And it's interesting. It does look like we might be seeing 2 different faults. Okay. Yeah, if you would do that. So the main shock was actually located in the middle. At that intersection between those 2 strands. And so we think the main fault was rupturing down towards the southwest, which would have focused the energy towards Ridgecrest. But then there's also a second fault that seems to have been activated going up to the northwest. Again, this area, that's not completely surprising. Look at those little black lines in there. There's a bunch of them. This is an area with a lot of little faults that in a rather complex area moving apart. It does suggest that Ridgecrest was particularly hard hit. We have reports from California Office of Emergency Services that there seem to be a couple of structure fires going on in Ridgecrest, and they're responding to them. There is also a small community called Trona, which is even closer to the ruptures, and it's on a dried lake bed. We do not have any communication with them yet. They would be a place that potentially there's significant damage. As I said, we're seeing at least 2 faults involved. This area is characterized by robust sequences, so we expect to be seeing a lot of earthquakes today, and some of them could be damaging. Probably at least one more will be damaging.
Kern County just tweeted something that suggested that they were anticipating a quake in 15 minutes. This tweet came out a little while ago.
There is nothing that gives us the time of a particular event. Now, I'm going to tell you I think there will be a magnitude 5 today. I did that on the day of Northridge, and when it happened, people said, "You predicted the earthquake." And I said, "I predict rain in Kauai, too." This is the same situation. When the probabilities are this high, then you can say, yes, there'll probably be a magnitude 5 today, but it's not the time of any particular event. There's nothing. If somebody's giving out a time of a particular event, they're not basing it on science. Okay? That's probably what we've really got about the aftershocks. We said we don't yet have, the geologists haven't yet gotten out, so we don't have a report yet on that.
Actually, you could mention we've seen this kind of conjugate behavior.
Oh, that's true. Well, and besides, did you just notice 2 aftershocks showed up? I just saw the 2 extra red dots that showed up here. This type of, conjugate behavior is relatively common. Back in 1987, we had 2 magnitude 6s on conjugate faults. The Landers earthquake with Big Bear. Big Bear was a little more separated from it, but was the same type of conjugate feature. The way the stress works, if I'm pushing in this way, I can move out here, or I can move out here. And so those essentially perpendicular, we call it conjugate faulting, is a common feature. And we'll just have to see. We're only 2 hours into this sequence. We'll have to see how it develops.
What about the Shake Alert app? Have you gotten any closer to understanding?
Yeah, so I can give an update about that. And there's maybe a little bit of misunderstanding or miscommunication. The system actually worked as designed. So an alert was sent out by the U.S. Geological Survey. The app with the City of L.A. is set up with various thresholds. The first threshold is a magnitude 5 earthquake or greater in L.A. County. it will send out an alert. This earthquake was outside of LA County, so it didn't satisfy that condition. The other condition is intensity greater than 4. The intensities in LA were 3 and lower. So the app performed as designed. It's just that the intensity levels were below that threshold that it had been set by the app. So the system actually worked as designed. It's something that we need to look into, though, as to whether maybe that threshold should be lowered or adjusted for future. And just to reiterate, though, there was the level of shaking within the city of LA was not damaging. So in that sense, the app was worked as designed.
If it had worked as, with the levels set correctly, or
well, they were set
levels set differently.
Yes.
What would we have seen on the app? What would people have seen?
So if, for example, if it had been 3, intensity 3, or then people would have got notification to expect shaking. I don't know the exact wording on the app, but there would have been a significant
45 seconds.
45 seconds before the shaking actually arrived. So the alert would have worked beautifully in that sense. But again, the shaking levels would not have been damaging. Certainly it would have been great, to kind of know ahead of time.
Does it have sound, or is it just like a text? What is it?
I'm actually not sure.
The threshold is set high enough. It's never gone off on my computer, on my phone, so I'm not completely sure. I think they may be using something. Well, they were going to be using a chiming alert that's used in Japan, but there was some. I'm not sure which one they ended up using.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the issue to not lower the levels is simply because you don't want to start getting so many alerts that people don't pay attention when they get them.
Right, and this is something that's actually been studied.
Could you explain that for people who didn't hear that question?
Okay, so just to repeat, the question was, the reason why potentially that the alert level isn't set lower is so that you don't have a large number of alerts with minimal shaking. And that is correct, and this is a subjective judgment. And so in designing the app, you have to make a decision on that. There's actually been a fair amount of research looking into this in other places like Japan and Mexico, and there's some sense that people don't mind getting an alert even if the shaking is not that severe, and which would have been the case here if it had been set to intensity 3. So this is something that maybe we need to, again, maybe needs to be looked at, tweaked on the system. Yes.
No, sorry. Just to clarify, because there had been some talk about 2 earthquakes today, so if you could just run through that.
There have been hundreds of earthquakes today. For a while, the website showed 2 magnitude 6.4s. So the way the system works is there's a lot of us recording earthquakes around the world, especially, and we have a system that if somebody else puts up an alert, and there's always the chance that the Great Pasadena earthquake means that we aren't giving out anything, so you want to have somebody else be able to say it if we're not here, and so there's a system to try and negotiate that. There was a warning, we think it was from the Tsunami Warning Center actually, and the timing, usually the system can recognize they're the same earthquake. If one of the systems gets the time a little off, then they look like different earthquakes, and the automatic system allows it to go in. So for a short time, there were 2 alerts, one from us, one from the Tsunami Warning Center, and when we recognized that it was there, we went in and cleaned it up.
Yeah.
That was not getting rid of an earthquake. By the way, I've heard the conspiracy theorists about that. It's just that we cleaned it up.
Right, and just to clarify, additionally, we had been just talking about 2 faults and so forth. Right. That's still the case. That's not this 2 earthquake issue.
Does the second fault have a name? We've got Little Lake.
We're not until we get a geologist on the ground.
Yeah.
Occasionally there are reports about faults that we did not know about.
We know a lot of faults in this area. I mean, just if you look again at the picture, somehow
which disappeared,
which just disappeared on us. If we could maybe just reload the page, I would guess. But look up in that area. There's lots of little marks on it's one of the areas with a dense distribution of mapped faults. So before I'm going to talk about an unknown fault, I need a geologist to say, how does this line up with the ones we know about?
Is it relevant that there are...
Not to us. People, I think it's a psychological issue. If it's an unknown fault, my God, then we didn't know, and makes it scarier. The reality is we have a lot of little faults that never get names because they're too small until you get an earthquake.
Yeah, we've lost our earthquake.
Was this one particularly strong for that area?
This earthquake is the largest in the Little Lake area in the last century. But in general, the Owens Valley, the sort of geologic structures up there, have had a lot of earthquakes like this. There was actually a 7.5 in 1872 that ran through, it was usually called the Independence earthquake, or sometimes just the Owens Valley earthquake. Mammoth historically has had dozens of magnitude 6s. So as a geologist, I'll say that area, largest earthquake in 100 years. Does that make it unusual? No. From geology, we really need to know, we need to look at millennia to say what's standard.
Once geologists are there, how long does it take for them to gather information?
Well, hold on. We're waiting for the picture to show up. I mean, they'll take a picture and send it to us and go, look, there's the fault offset.
Yeah.
There's one level at which it's simple. The geologists, presuming there are fault offsets, will probably be mapping it in detail over the next month.
Okay. Are they in trucks or helicopters or?
Hey, we don't have enough money to send helicopters. They're in trucks.
The National Guard does. I really don't know how you guys do this.
Yeah, no, not the geologists. Look at our budget sometime.
Yeah. So
they're en route.
They are en route, and as soon as we have information, regarding fault offsets or anything like that, we'll provide it. Hopefully within the next briefing or so.
And since we don't have any pictures yet, can you again sort of illustrate what that's going to look like? What a seismologist would want to take a photo of?
Yeah, well, yeah. So we're speculating a little bit here in that we don't know yet if this fault actually ruptured to the ground surface, and it's magnitude 6.4s in California sometimes break all the way to the ground surface and sometimes don't. So until we actually have some definitive information, if it did break up to the ground surface, what we should see is where two sides of the rock or two sides of the ground that were close together have slid horizontally relative to each other. And there may be some vertical displacements as well, but given the information that we have recorded, the seismographs, it looks like the offset on the fault, if it has broken to the surface, will be that horizontal strike slip motion.
How does that information help you? What does it?
Well, obviously, if in terms of damage, if you have a pipeline or a structure that straddles that fault and it moves sideways, that could be very devastating. I don't know if that's the case here again. Also, in terms of the ground shaking that was experienced in the Ridgecrest area. Lucy was talking before about how the earthquake started off to the northeast and propagated to the southwest towards Ridgecrest. With this type of horizontal motion, that can actually be amplified. Again, until we actually get some definitive information from some folks there, I can't be sure about that, but it is a possibility.
Also, we now do a better job of correlating what we get from our instruments with what is recorded in the ground. It used to be we needed the geologist in the field to tell us what happened on the fault. And in fact, the details, we get more details by walking down that fault than we'll ever get from an instrument. Over many years of recording them and comparing them, we have a guess that magnitude 6.4 is partially a statement of how much slip happened, how much one side moved with respect to the other. And at that magnitude, with this fault length, it's on the order, it's under a meter, but a half a meter to, so a couple feet. So it's potentially a pretty big offset. The question is whether it's confined at depth or whether it made it up to the surface. And there have been hypotheses that if it comes to the surface, you get a different shaking pattern than if it doesn't. And not all of Not everyone agrees with that hypothesis, and so it'd be that's an interesting piece of scientific testing that can go on because of it.
What's your knowledge of this fault in terms of how deep it is?
Faults, most faults, well, we don't, right? If it is, because we don't even know what fault it is yet, right? If it is the Little Lake Fault, that fault is mapped at the surface. That means that some previous earthquake it has come through to the surface. Most earthquakes begin about 5 to 10 miles below the surface. It's difficult to get a big earthquake to start up close to the surface. There's not enough confining pressure. By the way, if a fault could open up, you can't have an earthquake, right? Because the earthquake is shaking, just like snapping your fingers. Try snapping your fingers when they've opened up. You don't make a sound, right? And that's, if the fault opens up, you wouldn't be producing any shaking. And at the surface, it's not as confined. So the earthquakes happen deeper down. So most faults in California extend at least from if we map it at the surface, it probably goes at least 10 miles down, and probably more than that. And it's just as it gets deeper down, it behaves differently.
There's a lot of ancient volcanic history out of Little Lake, correct?
Not so. Little Lake is a volcanic region. There are some active volcanics.
Right. There's a cinder cone, I know.
Yeah, well, and the China Lake Weapons Center runs a geothermal plant there. So there's magma at depth. There's molten rock at depth, which has been used to tap for geothermal energy. So it's a potentially volcanic area.
What did you say was your prediction of the likelihood of a quake above 6.4?
9%.
9%.
And over the next week. And if we get through a day, then it'll be a lot lower. Okay. It's not an even thing over the week. The most likely time is right now. And as we see, actually, well, we aren't at the moment.
On the right.
Okay.
I got it up on the right.
Okay. The rate of aftershocks is substantially lower now than it was in the first briefing, right? So these things do die off really quickly with time. Any other questions? Wrap it up.
Thank you. Back at 1:30 or 2?
Let's at 2 o'clock at this point. We'll come back and see if we have some more information.
Just super quickly, sorry. You mentioned the China Lake Naval Weapons Station, and you've been saying damage is probably highest in the Ridgecrest and Trona Lake area. Are you hearing of any damage at that Naval Weapons Station?
Remember, damage does not get reported to us. Right. We had a phone call with OES. The only thing they told us was about structure fires in Ridgecrest.
Okay, and I heard about a water main break in San Bernardino. Any idea if that's related?
That's pathetic. It could be improbable, but it must have, if it did, it was already in bad shape.
Yeah, well, San Bernardino, it's old. No. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Same here.
See you 2 o'clock.
Okay, so 2 o'clock.
Thank you so much.
The Spanish speaker, please.
Okay, Joanne?
Yeah, they took it over there, but,
okay.
As a courtesy,
yeah, let's move those of us out who aren't Spanish speaking.
Much appreciated.
Okay, sure.
Yes.
All right, you've been listening live to a news conference with Dr. Lucy Jones, along with Bob Graves from USGS after this major earthquake that we experienced earlier today, magnitude 6.4, one of the strongest we have felt in the last 20 years. Last one was in 1999. Ridgecrest Regional Hospital, we understand, is being evacuated right now. It is no surprise given the fact that that is very close to the epicenter, where all of our experts and seismologists and geologists will be headed right now to assess the damage and check out where this is.
Also, we have reports of a water main break here, which Dr. Lucy Jones says is probably not likely affected by the earthquake. But let's go to Hal Eisner, who has some more on this. Hal, what are you seeing?
Yeah, we can't say that. We can't say that at all. It's under investigation at the moment. I talked to DWP, tell you what they told me, but let me tell you where I am. This is between Sweetser and La Jolla on Wilshire Boulevard. Now, if this were not a holiday, this would be a very, very busy street, and having this road blocked off here would be a big problem for an awful lot of people. But it is a holiday. There's not much traffic at all. And take a look behind me. What you see over here is what's left over of a water main break. DWP telling me it's an 8-inch pipe. They don't know how much water came out of that pipe. The system is over 100 years old. Now, I want you to take a look at that, what looks like a curb. that used to be, as best as we can tell, where the street was flush. And it looks like that street has dropped right there. Whether that was related to the rolling motion of the earthquake, whether that was related to the water from the water main break, whether any of this was related to what happened this morning, we don't know for sure. Nobody wants to commit, but DWP says that this system is over 100 years old. It's certainly possible. It would be, as they put it to me, coincidental. They certainly can't rule it out. They're not ruling it in. But we know that the street has dropped a little bit here. We know that there's water all over this part of Wilshire Boulevard. It's not like a geyser sort of thing. It seems to be more underground. Crews arriving, fire department people here. And these buildings, these big buildings where you'd have office work today, the water's been turned off. Sir, can I ask you a question real quick? Were you inside when the earthquake hit?
No. I'm the chief engineer, so I came in to assess the problem.
Well, what's the problem for the building? You're chief engineer of this building?
Yes.
Yeah. What's your name?
Marlon.
Hi, Marlon. What'd you find here?
Well, we have from the pressure of the water, we had a pressure relief valve that gave way, so the drain line wasn't too big enough for the water, so it kind of flooded the whole building from the 4th floor down.
From the 4th floor down?
Yeah.
Now, we don't know if this is related to the earthquake or not,
yes.
But your impact is a domino off of the impact here on the street?
Yes.
Okay, Marlon.
So right now we have no water to the building because the main is coming in from the city.
So it's probably a good thing a lot of people aren't working today.
Yes.
Okay, real good. Thanks for talking to me. So again, what we have over there is a curb where it's curved. It looks like this road has dropped. If that's related to this, and it could be, we will be told by DWP after they have a chance to investigate it. Right now, they're working on it. They said they've got crews out here, and it's on their radar. And yeah, it's interesting to think that an earthquake that happened way out in the Mojave Desert could have an impact here. But I remind us that this water system is over 100 years old. It is frequently that we do stories about water main breaks, and that can happen with pipes that are over a century. Back to you in the studio.
Right. The epicenter, Hal, is certainly far away in an isolated location. Thank you. As we continue to look at that earthquake tracker and the map on your screen, you know, Dr. Lucy Jones said it's not really all that possible. She would be a little bit surprised if this was related to the earthquake, but look, it is possible. You know, they're old, like Hal said. It's a 100-year-old pipe.
So, you know, we're going to go check in with Sandra Endo now. She's in Pasadena. With it obviously felt out there, according to Dr. Lucy Jones. That's her hometown.
Yes, we definitely felt it out here in Pasadena, where we were earlier talking at the Rose Bowl about fireworks and the big show tonight on the 4th of July. But again, then a lot of people started feeling the earthquake, and people started coming out here on Colorado Boulevard, enjoying the holiday. Here are two servers at this restaurant, and describe what you felt. You both felt it.
So there I was just minding my business, making the coffee. A normal day, right? Just a normal day. But then all of a sudden I'm pouring the coffee and everything's like shaking. Coffee's going everywhere, and I'm like, this is not normal. So all of a sudden I look outside and people are like, oh my God, everyone's like freaking out. So I'm a little confused, and I hear that it's an earthquake, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, we get those sometimes.
And then it was business as usual.
Business as usual. The restaurant just somehow, we moved on. We persisted.
You told me you felt like you were drunk.
A bit drunk. Off the record, I'm not. No, just kidding.
No, good thing. Save that for tonight.
Yeah, right, for 4th of July. Yeah, it just, all of a sudden, I thought I was the one that was woozy, but it was just like the world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird when the earth shakes from under you. What did you feel like?
Let's just say I saw a lot of broken dishes. Surprisingly, for a little 6, it was fun. And my bed was shaking, which is kind of crazy.
You did not see broken dishes.
No,
I don't see a broken dish.
Well, a little dramatization, you know, a little fun.
All right, this is real news here. All right, well, thank you so much. You guys having a little fun with it. And I have to say, an informal poll of people out here enjoying their 4th of July holiday, I feel like it's 50-50. People either felt it or they were just going about their business and totally did not feel a thing. So clearly we will be talking to more people, but you can see the restaurant filling up here, people enjoying this holiday, and there's a lot to talk about today because of that earthquake. We haven't felt a big one like that in like 20 years or so. So clearly something to talk about this holiday. Let's send it back to you guys.
All right, Sandra, thank you. And as we approach the top of the hour here, 1 in the afternoon on this Thursday, thank you. We'll be checking back. We want to remind folks you're watching KTTV Fox 11. Special coverage after this major earthquake hit our area, or in an isolated area, I should say, but we have felt it here, 6.4 magnitude.
And Dr. Lucy Jones, the preeminent expert on this subject, has said, obviously, there are going to be a lot of aftershocks. There's an 80% chance of a magnitude 5 or greater and a 9% of a 6.4 or larger. But every day it goes down. Let's go to Gigi now.
She's in Sherman Oaks. Hi, Gigi. What are you hearing?
Hi there. Almost everybody in the San Fernando Valley tells me they felt it. I was just talking to a lady off camera who told me she saw a carrot cake fall off a stand at a restaurant while she was eating. But right now I'm with Ani and Anahit, and they felt the earthquake here in the valley. What did you feel?
Well, I was in my room. It was my first time actually when I thought, oh, should I leave my room? Because it was very strong and my walls were just moving. So yeah, by the time I grabbed my laptop and ran out, I just stopped, thankfully.
Did you realize it was an earthquake right away?
Yes, my bed was shaking, my walls were shaking, so yeah.
Were you surprised to learn that it was 120 miles away?
I guess, yeah, it's pretty close. Bakersfield is very close, so yeah.
Ridgecrest, what about you? You felt it too, Anaid?
I did, yeah. I was actually in bed, and then my bed started shaking. So then I just got up, and I stood in the middle of my room, and then I looked at my blades, and my blades were moving. It was my first time actually seeing the, after that happens, to see consequences of it, something still, because sometimes when that happens, you're like, maybe I just thought it was it, but I was like, no, I can actually see the consequence of it in my room, and I was thinking, what should I do? It was the first time, again, as Ani said, that if I should leave, but then I thought of the training that we had about not leaving and actually started for the first time thinking what it is that we should do in this kind of situation.
Now, are you guys prepared? This is a question I'm asking everybody. Are you prepared for like the big earthquake?
No.
Ani, are you going to get prepared?
Yes, definitely.
Everybody tells me that right after the shaker, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have water, flashlights, those kind of things?
That's the thing that no. Like, I was actually telling my mom that we are educated young women and we've lived here and I've felt this before, but we've never felt urgent. We never felt like the need to be prepared in that way. But after this, I literally was telling my mom I'm going to go start reading and getting prepared in a way because it's so real. And 6.5, it's like really strong.
Please, because seismologists say it's not if an earthquake's going to happen, it's when an earthquake is going to happen. Yes. All right, so girls, be safe. You're beautiful young women. Go buy some water and flashlights, okay? And batteries too. Have a great day. Happy 4th of July. We are going to go live to Gina Silva. She's also been talking to folks. Everybody, it appears, felt the earthquake. Gina?
They certainly felt it here, Gigi. Good afternoon, everybody. We're in Huntington Beach. This is Luke. All right, Luke, what was it like for you?
It was kind of like a rolling just shake, It felt like for about 30 seconds or a minute. It was pretty cool to feel. Chandeliers were going back and forth, Yeah. It was cool.
At any point, did you start to get a little scared?
No, because it was just kind of mild, It didn't get too intense, so wasn't freaked out or anything. The dog didn't even get scared, so it was all good.
Ria was okay with it.
Yeah, she didn't mind.
Well, it was a big earthquake, 6.4.
Yeah, which is wild. Yeah, I don't know what that measures to down here, but it was definitely cool to feel.
Now, Luke, are you prepared for an earthquake? They always tell us, they always warn us, you got to be prepared for the big one.
I try to be prepared for everything, but yeah, I don't know what you really can be too prepared for when that case or the big one happens. So just try to always be prepared.
Yeah, and it's the 4th of July. We sort of forgot about all that because of the coverage of the earthquake, but what are you planning to do today?
Just celebrate the freedom, celebrate America. Have a good time, try to get in the ocean and enjoy it, Rio, come here.
All right, Rio wants to go, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio. But yes, thank you. Everybody here pretty much felt it. We were inside the truck, like I said earlier. We were editing, and it started to move, shaking back and forth, and we didn't realize it was the earthquake. It was pretty strong.
All right,
very
Gina.
strong.
Right, Gina, thank you. As we look at a map, and I think the sense that we get from all of our reporters that we've been checking in with in the Los Angeles area is, they're going about their day, but let's not forget, folks in Ridgecrest, they're dealing with a lot of damage. There's a lot of broken glass, debris, as we've been hearing. Lucy Jones was also talking about how the last update she gave us, she said there was a 5% chance that something larger than what we felt could happen and much stronger. Now, the last time we checked in with her, it was 9% of a chance. So that just gives you an idea of how things can change pretty rapidly. As a matter of fact, if you missed that, let's listen.
One should always be preparing for a big one. This does not make it less likely. There is about a 1 in 20 chance that this location will be having an even bigger earthquake within the next few days, that we have not yet seen the biggest earthquake of the sequence. It's certain that this area is going to be shaken a lot today, and some of those aftershocks will probably exceed magnitude 5, which means they will become damaging. We do not expect, this is far enough away from the San Andreas that any impact on that system will be minimal. I think this would be a good time to remind you that if you have been experiencing earthquakes for the last 20 years in Southern California, you have been experiencing an extremely quiet time in California history. The last time we had an earthquake in Southern California above magnitude 6 was 1999. The previous decade had about 8 magnitude 6s. So this has been an extremely quiet, abnormal time. This type of earthquake is much more normal. On the long run, we expect earthquakes of this size. It's not even 6.5. The long-term average is probably once every 5 or 10 years somewhere in Southern California. So, remember, this is more what we should be thinking about.
But, bottom line, Dr. Lucy Jones said you should go about your day, go about your plans. It is a holiday. Many people were looking forward to it. But just know that there could be the potential, or will be the potential, for a lot of these aftershocks. San Bernardino also tweeting out Trona. You mentioned Dr. Lucy mentioned Trona, which is the city that's closest to Ridgecrest, where the epicenter of this earthquake. So San Bernardino County put out that buildings and roads have sustained varying degrees of damage. So if you're headed in that area, or if you do have plans to head that way.
Well, we have a picture here. This is one of the ripped up roads in Trona. As you can see, major damage out there by the epicenter. We are sending our reporter Bill Malusian up there. He will be reporting live at 5 and 10 tonight with an update. But let's go to Susan Hirasuna, who's at Caltech. And Susan, a lot of people have been talking about Shake Alert LA and how they didn't feel. Why don't you update people why we didn't get alert on Shake Alert LA?
2 feet.
Okay. That has to do with the settings for Shake Alert LA, specifically LA. So this quake, which is, by the way, now has a name. So this is the Searles Valley quake. So because Searles Valley, or the quake, is not in LA County, so that alone means that it was not going to send out an alert. Now, on top of that, there are thresholds. You're not going to get an alert if the intensity was 3. And for most people in Los Angeles, they felt an earthquake that felt like a magnitude 3, not a magnitude 6.6 or 6.4. And that's the other reason why they now know that the alerts did not go out via that app. So it sort of begs the question, do we need to lower those thresholds? Do you want the thresholds to be lowered so that you're getting more notification on that Shake Alert LA app when an intensity 3 magnitude is not really damaging? So do you need to know that? And the concern is, of course, that if you continue to get these alerts and you ignore them, then will you pay attention when it finally goes off? And there's a reason to pay attention to the wait time between when you get that alert and when the quake actually hits you where you are. And of course, the closer you are to the quake, the shorter the time that you will get any kind of notification. In the situation here in Los Angeles, if the Shake Alert threshold had been lower, if it was possible for us to get that kind of alert, we would have had as much as 45, 48 seconds to brace ourselves. But again, magnitude 3, not really damaging, not really necessary for you to know that unless you were someplace where perhaps you might lose your balance and fall or something to that regard. Other things that sort of came out of the last news conference was that this is now what they call a conjugate fault earthquake, meaning there were two faults rather that were very close together and were participating in this earthquake. There was some, if you check a lot of those websites and alert websites and whatever, it looked as if at one point that there were 2 6.4 earthquakes. That is not the case. Dr. Jones explained that a lot of times there are companion or cooperative systems that will also do the reporting, and in this case, it might have been the Tsunami Warning Center that put out the alert for an earthquake, and they were close enough together where it looked like it was not the same quake, but close, and in fact it is the same quake. So very interesting information. They are still waiting for the geologists, which are driving up to that area. It is quite a distance from where we are, so it'll take them some time to get up to that area, but they're going to look for those, what they call fault offsets. And that is when you're going to see either the rifts that, if there is a photo out now from Trona that sort of suggests that part of a road became cracked or whatever, that might be considered a fault offset. Those are the kinds of things that they're going to be looking for, and then send a photo back so that the seismologists here can take a look and make their assessments on what that meant. But a lot of the information, or rather, let me just say that there is a possibility, a quite possibility, that once the geologists get up to the area, they might not find anything that's a fault offset, and that has to do with the fact that the rupture, that there was no actual rupture to the surface. The shock waves and the intensity might have been significant enough to be rolling out from the epicenter towards us, towards the Los Angeles area, but not enough to reach the surface and create a crack or a rupture. So it'll be interesting to see at 2 o'clock, which is their next scheduled live shot or news conference, whether or not they have any new information. But a lot of numbers have come out of this, which might be kind of interesting to you people, especially for those that are closer to the Ridgecrest Trona area. They have already experienced dozens of aftershocks, some of which have been pretty significant, 3s and 4s. And Lucy Jones was able to give us some better numbers on what that might mean for the next week. She says there's an 80% chance that you could have 5 magnitude or over 5 magnitude over the next week, and then maybe a possibility of a couple over 6, maybe 4 over 6. But as the time goes on, farther away from the the major incident, then that number goes down. The percentage of possibility for that kind of thing goes down. But yeah, 80% is a little bit sobering, that there's that chance that over the next week you could get a magnitude over 5 for that area. It's very interesting when you consider those, that how much information they have yet to collect and how much more information they will have once they are able to sort of crunch all those numbers and re-examine the area of the fault. So they mentioned to us also that Trona is in a dry lake bed, so it sort of makes some sense that there might be a lot of damage there, because not only is it the epicenter, but also the mere fact that it was a dry lake bed that could contribute to the soil conditions, which would add to damage. One other thing, because we keep asking about damage, and it's hard not to, but the fact of the matter is that the damage is actually reported to the Governor's Office of Emergency Services. So they are happy, Dr. Jones and Dr. Graves are happy to give us as much information that they have, but they're not the collecting, they don't collect the information per se. No one's reporting to them. So that's basically what we have thus far. I'm trying to look over my notes to see if there's anything else. Oh, there's also a Naval air weapons station there. So far, no word, at least to the seismologists here, that there's been any kind of damage, but that also speaks to the fact that there's a lot of another kind of activity, geothermal activity. So whether or not they have a different kind of accommodation for seismic activity, that's the kind of thing that we don't know, but it appears, because there's been no reporting as yet, that area has survived without any damage, that particular special weapons system.
All right, Susan, so next update will be in about 46 minutes from now, so we'll be checking back with you, hopefully for some more updates. Right now we got to get to Hal Eisner. He was checking out a water main break, and at this point there is no connection to the earthquake. It's possible, but still no confirmation. Hi.
They're not going to be able to confirm that for a while, because they have to investigate and figure out exactly what happened. Here's what they do know about what happened. The intensity, the most intense part of the earthquake was at 10:33. It was about 20 minutes later, give or take, at about 10:56, that they got a report of a water break here. Is it possible that they are connected? Yes, it is possible, given that time. It's an 8-inch water main. It's over 100 years old, most likely, because most of the system is over 100 years old. You look down there along the street, and we don't know exactly where this break is underground, but you take a look over there, and you can see what looks like a curb, but that's actually where the street looks to have come up. And so is that related to the earthquake? Did the earthquake roll and all of a sudden the pipe broke, and maybe the pipe's water coming out exacerbated the underpinnings of the street, and that caused for a drop in the street right there? It's possible, but we don't know. And the first word I got from DWP was it was coincidental. Then I sent some pictures, and I talked to them a little more, and they said they're going to need to investigate this. It is certainly possible. So this is an area that on a normal day would be busy, really, really busy, with a lot of cars, a lot of people working in offices and buildings like this one right here. Right now, it's a good thing there weren't a lot of people working in this building, because they tell me, maintenance folks from the building, that water flooded into the building and caused damage for the first four floors. To what extent, we don't know. We've asked if we can go in and take a look, but right now they are dealing with firefighters inside who are assessing the situation, and their own people assessing the situation. So we know something happened out here in the way of a break of a water main. We know that there's water in the street. We know that there's a street that has dropped what looks like a couple of inches. We know that there's damage into a building here connected to the earthquake. Possible. It's possible. Nobody is saying it's not. We'll have to wait and see. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Hal. If you're just joining us, you probably felt it. You probably kind of knew what's going on. A 6.4 magnitude earthquake up in the Ridgecrest area, which is about 150 miles north of here. As Susan and our reporters have been reporting, that's a heavily military area up there, military families, and people were going about their day, and a lot of damage up in that area. But we felt it, and it was, registering under a 4.0 down here because of where the magnitude was located, or where the epicenter was located. So, not so much shock here, meaning damage or anything like that, but just felt. So
well, and Dr. Lucy Jones also mentioned we are far enough away that she would be surprised if she heard any sort of damage here in the LA County area. I can tell you where there was damage is Trona. Let's see if we can get that picture again. Do we have it?
Street.
Of the road. It looks like it just, has a crack right in the middle. We know that that's where geologists are headed right now to investigate. Our Bill Malusian is also headed to the Ridgecrest area to talk to folks and get more of an idea of what exactly they went through. Remember, we told you earlier that the hospital out there, Ridgecrest Regional Hospital, was being evacuated. We don't know why, but we do know that there are potential power outages. We talked to a doctor who lived out there who said he had heard of reports of a gas leak. We talked to another resident who said that the power was going off and on. Her husband was on oxygen. So as you can imagine, this can get very scary for a lot of folks who are very close to the epicenter, despite the fact that we are, 120 miles away.
And a lot of people are saying these, the Shake Alert LA app, we didn't feel it. No one got an alert on there. But the premise is behind this app, if it's 5.0 or greater, you will get an alert. If it's lower than that, you will not. So a lot of people disappointed that it didn't work, but they noted, and Dr. Lucy Jones noted, that if we sent out alerts for 3.0, people become desensitized to that alert. But what we do know is that it was obviously felt up there. The likelihood of aftershocks is great. There is a 9% chance of a 6.4 or greater.
So Gigi Graciette standing by with some folks. She's been talking to a lot of people who have experienced this for the first time. And I know there's a lot of people, kind of giggling excited about this, but the reality is there are some other folks who are still very much dealing with the reality of the magnitude and the strength.
Exactly. It was 120 miles away from here, Sherman Oaks. So here it was felt as a very light earthquake, but a shaker nonetheless. And everybody's got a story. I'm with Roxana and Zion, her husband, and their puppy, Nala. And I understand that Nala suddenly started howling just before the earthquake?
Yeah, Nala, about 10 seconds prior to it, she woke up and she started howling loudly, trying to kind of warn us about something's happening. And then 10 seconds later, we felt the earthquake, and it was a long period for us, but it was awesome seeing that she kind of warned us to take care of the kids. So my wife grabbed the other child, and we were...
Exactly, because congratulations are in order. We have a double blessing here. Take a look at baby boy and baby girl, just 2 months old. And Roxana, you said one of the babies started crying during the earthquake because she was on the bed and sort of felt the bed shaking?
Yeah, so one of them, it was actually her. She was on the bed. She was shaking while he was in my arms. He slept through it pretty fine, but she was crying.
So you're saying the boy slept through the earthquake. The little girl was all alert, right?
Yep, exactly.
It sounds like good. So when Nala started howling, she's only, what, 4 months old? When she started howling, did you sense that something was off, you were telling me?
I definitely did. I figured, because she's very quiet, she's not vocal at all, and at the point that she started howling, it was an unusual howl. Like, it's not a bark that the neighbor's outside the door or anything like that. It was just like a howl, like, hey, I'm sensing something's wrong. And then when it happened, we're like, wow, it's amazing that she sensed it before it actually occurred. So that was pretty awesome.
They do say that animals sense earthquakes, you know, very often, way before we do. Well, I'm glad everybody's okay. Congratulations on the babies. And Nala, the puppy, you have your hands full. Roxana and Zion, thank you for talking to us. Have a great day. So folks here, they did feel it lightly. You heard Zion there talk about how Nala started howling. And we probably have a lot of stories with Fox 11 viewers about their animals. If you do, tweet me. I'd love to share your stories. My dog once got right under a table, and I thought, that's really weird. Why is she under the table? And then we had an aftershock, a light shaker here in Los Angeles. So they often do predict these quakes, sometimes better than we do. Reporting live in Sherman Oaks, I'm Gigi Gracia. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks, Gigi. We're just talking about animals. Animals have, you know, very sensitive reaction and can sense things. You were saying your dog, you're at home.
Little Rocky was freaking out. LA County Sheriff also warning folks to have those tags on them. All right, let's go to Pasadena, where Sandra Endo is standing by. All right, Sandra, what are you hearing out there?
Well, we're hearing kind of a split among people here out in Pasadena enjoying their 4th of July holiday. Some people saying they felt it for sure, others not so much. And let me bring in this couple here who can tell me all about what you felt this morning. How would you describe that shaker?
Well, I mean, it's my first quake here. I'm not from California. I'm from the East Coast, so to me, I mean, I didn't expect. I thought I was dizzy at first, and then I saw my blinds sway, so I knew.
That's when you knew it was an earthquake.
I knew, yeah. So I just like put on my shoes and stood behind or underneath the door frame.
So did it kind of freak you out a little bit? Because this is, you know, land of earthquakes. You hear about it, California. This is it.
I mean, yeah, it freaked me out, very much so. And I mean, I've gone through hurricanes, but this freaked me out a little bit more.
All right, well, you survived, so we could get you a shirt. You survived the big one so far. I'm only kidding. How about you? How did it feel for you?
Yeah, same thing. I felt like I was a little dizzy at first, and then everything started kind of shaking in slow motion. It lasted maybe 10 to 15 seconds, but it felt a lot longer than that.
Yeah, so it felt a lot longer. That's what a lot of people are saying, kind of a rolling motion, like you're on a boat, and the duration was something a lot of people were talking about.
Yeah, I have a dog at home, so she kind of stood up and was looking around, and everything just kind of felt in slow motion, and then just checked to make sure everyone was okay after that.
Yeah, that's another thing. We were talking about animals giving a warning sign, and even babies kind of yelping or kind of crying out because they kind of sense something is going to happen before it actually happens. So it's a good reminder, both of you, to be prepared. That's another thing that this is reminding people of, to make sure you have a go bag. So putting you on the spot on live TV, do you have a go bag? Do you have a plan?
I do not, but I will certainly be putting one together after this, definitely, yeah.
And how about you? Does it make you scared to be here in California?
Yes, absolutely. And people tell me that I'm supposed to be expecting aftershocks, and I'm not. I don't know how I feel about that. So,
well, don't be scared. We got you. All right, let's send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Sandra. Right now I'm joined with Laura Diaz, who is coming in, and she was downtown LA, and you felt the earthquake in your high-rise.
Oh, I have to tell you, it's the first time I've lived there many years, but I've never been home for an earthquake in the high-rise. So others have described it to me, but to actually feel it myself for the first time today was quite something. Because the building is built on rollers. It's designed to roll with the earthquake. It did its job today, but it's almost like the building is doing a hula. So you can imagine what that feels like. And it took me a little minute before I realized it was actually an earthquake. I felt almost like I was seasick, like, when
motion
you're on a
sickness,
boat.
what we felt here. This building is the same. It's retrofitted to roll. and we all stood upstairs, and people at home probably felt the same thing and wondered what it was. But what we do know is the earthquake was 150 miles north. We have felt just, we were under 4.0 down here. That's why we didn't get, our alerts right here on shock alert. So it wasn't as big as an impact as they felt up in Ridgecrest. But what we do know is the likelihood of something 6.40 or greater is 9%, according to Dr. Lucy Jones.
Right. She's so wonderful at what she does, and it's nice to have that comforting face to come out and tell us how she views it and all those years of experience. I think one of the things that I was reminded of today, though, it's been 20 years since we've had an earthquake of this magnitude, and it's always a reminder to all of us not to be complacent. How really ready are you? Are you and your family, do you have any kind of an evacuation plan in order? The ability to communicate, water, all of those essentials that we need in a major earthquake, and we all get a little bit like, oh, it's been so long, I think I'm fine.
100%.
But, right.
We get complacent, and what she also did say is that we've had small earthquakes, and now the chance now for greater ones, this is the time. And she said it didn't affect the San Andreas Fault, which is big to know for everyone who grew up here. The San Andreas Fault, the fear of the San Andreas Fault is what we grew up with, and you too. And so she said, this is not affected, but this is going to happen. So now let's take a phoner right now. We're going to go to Janet, who lives up in Ridgecrest, and her home was heavily damaged. What happened, Janet?
Well, everything that was on the walls or in the cupboards, even the drawers broke, is all on the floor. And we were right in the middle of it. We were sitting on the couch watching the TV, and we could hardly move.
You bet you had to move. And was it a big jolt? Because obviously we down here, we're 150 miles south of you, but apparently up there it was a big jolt, and it kept going. How long did you feel it for?
Well, it felt like forever, but it knocked our foundation, our trailer off our foundation a foot.
Oh, wow. And we're looking at images right now of a convenience store near you. It's just everything off the shelves, anything that wasn't nailed down.
Right.
Janet, this area has been somewhat busy seismically. How many earthquakes have you been through?
Well, I've been here since 1964, and I think this is the worst I've ever felt.
Wow. And how so?
Well, it did feel like it went on for a minute, but it probably wasn't that long, But can you get this off for me?
You sound shaken up, Janet. It's probably unnerving and scary, and the likelihood of aftershocks. You've had a lot of aftershocks up there.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I guess it was a 6.4 was the original one, because it was rated at a 6.6, and they dropped it down. The next big one was a 4.7. And we've had about 2 or 3 little ones.
Janet, how many people are there with you? Other family members or employees? Tell us a little bit about where you are and what you're doing.
We live in the east side of town, and it's 2.5-acre parcels. And almost everybody's house was kind of destroyed inside.
Do you have electricity or any running water? Is there any other damage like that for y'all?
No, we turned the electricity off, and we still have water.
Well, we're saying, it's the likelihood of aftershocks is going to happen, and you have to be prepared. And I bet you're prepared now.
Oh yeah, we got everything that we could think of as far as clothes and water and toiletries and stuff. They're all underneath the tree. My cat's in a cage under the tree.
Well, it sounds like you're taking all the proper steps. What did you have in mind to do today on this Independence Day? I'm sure it wasn't this.
Well, we were going to go to a dinner, which we're not doing now.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, you guys are on edge up there, and they say down here we're okay, but we're thinking of you up there, and we want you to be safe. So make sure you take extra precautions and take care of yourself, Janet.
Oh, we are. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for talking to us.
Having grown up and lived through this like yourself, it's scary. And everyone who comes and visits here, there's a lot of visitors in town for the 4th of July. I bet a lot of people are scared because, if you've never experienced it, it's unnerving.
It is, but it's interesting. It seems like there are 2 types of people, those who get frightened by the earthquakes and those whose eyes go big like saucers and they're like, yeah, my first earthquake. But you only say that, of course, if no one's injured or, God forbid, killed. If you've ever lived through one of the really damaging earthquakes, which many of us has, where people have actually died, you never forget that. The Northridge earthquake was devastating to Southern California. At that time, I was living in Sherman Oaks, and I remember the sound of it coming in. It sounded like a freight train was coming through my bedroom, and being cognizant in that second of exactly what it was. But that comes from growing up in Southern California and hearing about it since you're a little child. But if you're a visitor in town, at first you may not realize what it is.
Well, it's one of those things too. Also, the safety precautions have changed since I was little. They used to say duck and cover. And now it's different a little bit. You drop, cover, and hold on wherever you are. You don't stand in a doorway. Those are old kind of ways of thinking. But let's bring you up to speed on the very latest. Let's pull some information that we do know. You know, the hit maximum intensity, it started at 10:33 this morning with a 6.4 earthquake in Ridgecrest, California, which is up 150 miles north of here in the Mojave Desert. It was felt from Phoenix all the way down south here, and people even in San Diego are texting me they felt it. And there have been dozens of aftershocks. And so social media is going crazy. You can see pictures here, and this is obviously in Ridgecrest. But like I said, it's hard to believe. We had one visitor in Huntington Beach talk to Sandra saying he's from Arizona. He's never felt an earthquake. Well, I'll tell you what now. Arizona felt an earthquake today, and so did San Diego. And the fact that 6.4 earthquake reverberations were felt all the way down here shows that it's pretty big. And Dr. Lucy Jones says this is just the beginning.
Well, and as we were discussing, it is a great reminder to all of us to be prepared. You look at these pictures of just even personal items that come off of the shelves, like you see right there. If a person is standing in a place that's dangerous, it could hit you on the head, it could hurt you severely. I know in my own home today, I took a quick survey, everything was in place, which was kind of surprising in itself. But the closer you were to the epicenter, of course, then you're in greater danger. And we just heard Janet on the phone just a couple of minutes ago talking about the fact that they rounded up the pets and how frightening it was. This area of Southern California tends to be very active seismically, but she said this was the worst one that she could recall. So it does get your attention, and it reminds you that we all should be prepared for the big one.
And I do want to remind people what Dr. Jones did say. She's like, if you're out and about, go about your day. But do be mindful that possibility of aftershocks, possibility of a bigger one. This was not on the San Andreas fault. It was on a different fault, and they have, they have 500 of these sensors from Caltech. They're pretty smart people. Yes. Dr. Lucy Jones knows her stuff. We're sending Bill Malusian, our reporter, up to Ridgecrest. He's going to have a live report at 5 and at 10 o'clock.
But before that, we have Gina Silva standing by, and she's going to bring us up to date where she is and tell us what the perspective is there. Hello, Gina.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. You're talking about people going about their lives. Take a look here. People are bike riding. They're enjoying the 4th of July here in Huntington Beach. Yes, a lot of people felt the earthquake, and, everyone's talking about it. But again, you got to just keep on going. This is Gabriel?
That's right, Gabriel.
Gabriel, and where are you from?
Long Beach.
Long Beach. All right. So where were you? What were you doing?
Sitting in my living room, kind of planning on, making plans for today. Pretty much, that was it.
And describe what you felt.
At first, I felt a little dizzy. I wasn't sure what it was. I thought it was me, but then I had a glass of water, and I saw the water was kind of rocking back and forth, and then I saw the fan light kind of swaying a little bit, so I figured it's probably an earthquake.
And it did seem to last longer than, some of the little ones that we've had.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like it went on for about at least 30 seconds, but maybe a minute, but it did feel a little long. Yeah.
So are you prepared for the big one?
I would say, like most people, no. No, to be honest, no.
I know. Once the big one hits, we all panic, right? But we are supposed to have water. We're supposed to be prepared. Do you have anything like that?
We do have some canned goods, some water, but not stored. That's. I think we need to do a better job about that. Yeah. But no, we're not really prepared.
All right. Well, I hope this is a reminder to go ahead and get an earthquake, right? And have it ready, maybe in the car as well. It's important. All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. Enjoy your 4th of July. It is a beautiful day out here, isn't it?
It's gorgeous.
It is beautiful. The beach, people are swimming, people are biking, exercising, and they're ready. You're waiting for the fireworks tonight.
That's right.
All right, I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Gina. Yep, as Dr. Jones said, go about your daily life, go out and about, go to your party. She was having people over, and when an earthquake hits, she has to run into Caltech and start reporting. This is called the Searles Valley quake. And I'm wondering if we still have that picture in Trona. It shows the road split. It was a dramatic picture. Trona is just a little bit south of Ridgecrest, but it shows the magnitude. This is the road right there. It just shows how Mother Nature is unforgiving, no matter
Always
where
have
you
to
are.
have respect for Mother Nature. This looks like something out of a sci-fi movie, though, as kids, where you'd see those crazy movies, you know, predicting the end of the world. These types of pictures, though, they really illustrate the power of Mother Earth and how you have to be prepared for when it hits. Dr. Jones talking about the fact that we should go on with our day, enjoy our 4th of July, but also be cognizant of where things are in the house. Do you have things strapped in, bolted in the way you should? Do you have items placed in a precarious spot? I know there were many people hurt in the Northridge quake because they had items right above their bed.
Well, televisions.
Right, toppled off, came down, and struck people. So these are small things that we all can do, but they pay off big time when a large quake hits.
And sometimes you forget, you fill up your tank. I am the queen of living off a quarter of a gallon, you know, in my tank, running to bed. You too. And you know what, guys, go fill up your tanks today. It's a quick reminder. If an earthquake hits, they said the electricity might go down. You can't fill up your tanks. You can't get out of town. If you need to do something, there's an emergency, get somewhere. You know, it's a constant reminder. And as a mother of 2 young little girls and people at home who have families, stock up on extras, waters, flashlights, batteries, and just the bare necessities you need for a couple days or for a week.
They actually say 2 weeks on the water because they don't know how long it'll be compromised, at least in the city of LA. That's been the recommendation. So we're going to go out now to Gigi Graciette. She brings us another look at what's going out there. Gigi, what are you hearing from folks?
Well, it's definitely the talk of the town. The earthquake felt here in the San Fernando Valley from 120 miles away with the epicenter. This is the Kasabian family, Paul, Anna, David, and Reverend Robin Kasabian from St. Mark's Episcopal Church in Van Nuys. And you were telling me, Reverend Robin, that you felt the earthquake today. You just moved to the San Fernando Valley, too.
Yes. Yes, we did. We felt it. We were upstairs, and I said to Paul, this is an earthquake.
Had you felt an earthquake before?
Oh, yes. 94 and several others growing up here in Southern California.
Okay, how about Anna and Davey? Did you know it was an earthquake?
When I first felt it, I thought it was just me, but then when I saw my parents and my brother coming down and saying, oh my gosh, it's an earthquake, then I knew that it wasn't just me.
Was it a little scary?
No, yeah.
Yeah, you're more mature than I am because I get scared in earthquakes. What about you, Davey?
Well, I was just playing video games with my friends, and then I feel my chair moving, and at first I thought it was like the garage and Mom went to get breakfast or something, but it was an earthquake, and then immediately I just stand up and walk under the door frame, and then I felt that it wasn't that bad, so I just walked downstairs and sat on the couch.
Now, was this your first earthquake?
No, not really, but it's maybe one of the biggest.
One of the biggest earthquakes. How about Paul? Did you realize it was an earthquake right away?
I think Robin was the first person to mention it, and it lasted a while.
That's what people are telling us. Some people reported feeling it up to 30 seconds.
Yeah, I would agree.
Which was a long time. Now, are you folks prepared, Reverend Robin? I know you talked to the congregation about being prepared in case of an emergency. Are you prepared?
Well, unfortunately, I think in our new home we are not yet prepared. So it's time to restock our emergency supplies and be prepared.
Definitely a wake-up call and a reminder that that we live in earthquake country, right? The Kasabian family, thank you very much. I'm glad everybody's okay, and I'm glad you weren't scared. Next time there's an earthquake, I'm going to come to you and hold your hand. That's the latest from Sherman Oaks. We'll send it back to you.
Oh, that's funny, Gigi. That little girl is very brave, though, because you do feel out of control.
Well, you made a good point. If the parents, are calm and the kids can be calm, but just be ready. And make them aware. Make little kids aware. I say now, tell your little kids about earthquakes. Tell them how to be prepared because, God forbid something happens to you as the adults, your little ones need to be prepared because we do live in earthquake country. And as we just showed you pictures from Trona, from Ridgecrest, a lot of damage and destruction can happen. And, it doesn't have to be big buildings falling down. It could be like things in your house, paintings, televisions that can really hurt people. So to be prepared at this moment. But Dr. Lucy Jones did say it's happy 4th. Go on with your day and be prepared.
The fireworks started a little bit early today, wouldn't you say, Megan?
It woke us all up. I'll tell you, we're all at our editorial meeting, and we were walking out. Everyone's saying, have a nice 4th, and then we felt the sway, and we ran down to the newsroom. And at 10:33 this morning, that's 6.4. As people are saying, though, they said it felt like it was going for a long time. But I think in our imaginations, it goes on, and we still feel our bodies sway. But it didn't last that long here, according to Dr. Lucy Jones. She said around 10 seconds. And to us, it felt longer.
It felt longer than that in downtown Los Angeles,
Yes.
but I'm not sure. I'm certainly not
You're
a
on
scientist.
softer ground, though. She did say, downtown Los Angeles is not on bedrock. It's on softer ground, so you will feel it, the sway a little bit more than being on bedrock, which is a more cut kind of feeling, like a jolt.
It was swaying where I was, I think, because of the rollers. At one point, though, when I felt like the shaking had stopped, I poked my head out the door, and one of the fellows who works in the building, he had been up on the roof because people like to go up there for 4th of July and watch the fireworks, and so I suspect that he was up there just checking stuff out. Anyway, he popped down, and I said to him, did you feel it? He said, oh, yeah. Oh. And he said that he actually saw the U.S. Bank building, that he could visibly watch it sway from the top of our building. Yeah. So that must have been quite spectacular to see that.
And it's a comforting thought. I know hearing you say it's sway, but that means the building is doing what it's supposed to do. Because, before all these buildings were retrofitted and earthquake safe, a lot of these structures could be heavily damaged, even by a small earthquake like 3.0, what we, according to Dr. Jones, felt down here. That was the 6.4, the duration and how long it's producing its energy. By the time it got here, it was only a 3.0 feeling. And another thing people are talking about is the Shake Alert app. And I have that app, and no one got a notice down here in Los Angeles, specifically the Shake Alert LA. And the reason behind that is anything below a 5.0, we will not get an alert, which there's some controversy about that. Would you want one or would you not? So, but anything under 5.0, you will not get an alert. So a lot of people, conflicting reports on that and how people feel.
I do understand what she's saying, though, because if you start alerting people about even the small quakes, pretty soon they're going to be, this is no big deal. When in fact they may have 30 seconds to get someplace to be safer if there's a major, major quake. And we have found that those seconds are so precious when a quake, above 7, you need every second that you have to get into a safe place.
As you lived through 1999, 7.1, when I was here too, devastation 20 years ago. Right. Devastation.
And it wasn't just in Northridge. There were people who were absolutely devastated in Santa Monica. And that was sort of a disconnect for people. Why would you be impacted? But the way it rolled, and as you mentioned, the type of ground underneath and the structure you're in, there are so many variables to how protected you are in an earthquake. We're going to go out now to Sandra Endo, who can bring us up to date there. And what are you hearing from people, Sandra?
Well, a lot of varying opinions and descriptions about what people saw and felt this morning when that earthquake hit this area. We're in Pasadena and we're on Colorado Boulevard, so a lot of people out enjoying this holiday and people off from work. So a lot of people were at home, and let me bring in these ladies here. And we were just talking about the Shake Alert app, how it didn't work. You were kind of bummed about that.
I was extremely bummed, yeah.
I guess the real reason is that they only alert you if it's a certain magnitude or higher, so as to not desensitize people. So that's the reason we're given today. All right, but so no warning. What did you feel this morning?
We were actually at IKEA this morning, and my partner told me that she was feeling an earthquake, and I told her, don't be ridiculous, it's fine. And then it lasted way too long than what we anticipated, and so I kind of freaked out. Yeah.
Oh no, you freaked out?
It was the big one. I thought it was the big one.
You thought all that furniture was going to come tumbling down.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so what did you do? How did you react?
I wanted to just stay put. Most folks were kind of trying to walk out of the store. I think they were worried of things toppling on them. And then immediately I received a call from my mom because she lives in the high desert area, and they definitely felt it. Yeah.
You were mentioning your parents living in Apple Valley where they felt it much stronger than us. They were closer to the epicenter. How did she describe what she felt?
Her cabinets kind of came open and the neighbor's pool was splashing a bunch of water everywhere. We're used to earthquakes, lived here all our lives, but it definitely kind of puts you in an awkward position when it happens.
I think the big thing was that the duration of it was long enough for people to realize, hey, it's actually an earthquake.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember the Landers earthquake being more of a rolling motion, and that's kind of what I was anticipating when I felt it. Yeah.
All right, last question. Are you ready? Are you prepared with a go bag and all that, or is this kind of a big reminder?
I have an earthquake bag at home, but not in my car, and so that's the next step, to put it in my car. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. That is the latest from here. Let's send it back to you guys for now.
All right, thanks, Sandra. We're getting news that we're going to have an update from the Kern County officials on the status of what's going on up there. But currently, what we do know, over 20 fire and medical incidents near the Ridgecrest area. And so far, no reports. We haven't gotten any word, which hopefully we'll get an update in Kern County of anybody hurt or injured.
It's still very preliminary, but that's the great news to report, that as far as we know at this hour, at 1:43, no one hurt, no one dead. There doesn't seem to be any substantial damage. We do know that Ridgecrest Regional Hospital was evacuated, and you can only imagine if you're sick, you're in a hospital bed, and then you have to be evacuated. So, you know, hats off to all the good folks working there today trying to help these patients get to a safer place and for doing this work on a holiday. But it started with a rolling motion today, at least where I was in downtown Los Angeles. And at first, I mentioned to you, Megan, I wasn't sure what it was. I felt almost seasick because of the rolling quality, but I live in a high rise. As you pointed out earlier, that's the building doing its job. That's the retrofitting, that's the infrastructure, that's the engineering sort of magic, if you will, that now exists in Southern California in the newer buildings.
Let's bring everyone up to speed as far, you know, here's what we know. Here's what happened. At 10:33 this morning, a 6.4 earthquake shook about 150 miles north of here in the Mojave Desert area. Everywhere from Phoenix down to Los Angeles, even to San Diego, has felt this earthquake. Down here is around a 3.0, according to Dr. Lucy Jones. And the likelihood of aftershocks, we've had many. She said we're going to have them every few minutes. And aftershocks, and the likelihood of a 6.4 or larger is 9%, and that goes down every day for the next week. So we're going to continue to monitor that. They're going to have an update in the Kern County area to tell us if there's anything going on there. But the good news, Laura, as we said, this wasn't on the San Andreas Fault. And as you know, what does the San Andreas Fault mean?
Well, first of all, it extends through so much of the state, but I think that has been kind of the frightening thought that we're raised with here in Southern California. Whenever you hear about the San Andreas, you know, your heart skips a beat, because we've been trained to think that that will trigger the big one, when in fact we have faults throughout the state, and we never know how they might combine and trigger something greater. But we're going to go to that news conference now. This is Kern County Fire bringing us up to date. Let's listen in.
Thoughts are elevated whenever we have an earthquake and it's in the vicinity of the Dam. And we've reached out to the Army Corps, and they're assessing the dam now. But we feel like they're actively reconnaissance is taking place in the situation right now. We'll have more later. As of now, we don't know of any issues.
Do you want to mention anything about the phone lines? We also heard some information about that.
The phones and radios.
Bit of difficulty with the audio yet, so we're going to wait until we can get it to a level where we can hear it better. But Megan, we've been waiting for this news conference because we don't have any official tallies yet. We're hoping that all is well.
And he was saying so far what we could hear, that they don't have any reports yet of anything, but they're still out there and assessing the damage, assessing if there's any injuries, and, you know, seeing what's going on out there. And as we've shown, even as far south as Trona, you know, roads are damaged, you know, structures are damaged. They've evacuated the hospital out there. And that's a heavily military family area. There's a lot of military folks out there, and celebrating probably the July 4th. A lot to be grateful for today.
There is a base in Barstow. My Uncle Jack was actually stationed there for a while when I was a kid, and we stayed there for a couple of weeks. But also something important to point out, too, California City, big retirement area. So we don't know those who are elderly who live in this area, if they are able to get to safer ground. They must have been so very frightened. So all of this can take a little bit of time until we can get the emergency crews out to check on people. And we're still very, very early into this, Megan. We will be getting information all day.
Well, the silver lining in all this is it is a holiday, so getting out there, the access and people on the roads, you know, hopefully won't be as heavy for people to get out there. And as we said earlier, we're sending Bill Malusian, our reporter, up there for the live at 5 and 10 to bring us up to speed on what, you know, what is going on out there, to hear from loved ones, because people from down here have a lot of loved ones up there and are very concerned, because if we felt it there, and we've been talking to people up in Ridgecrest all morning long, it was a jolt. It was something that shook, you know, paintings off the wall, anything that wasn't strapped down, as we see in these convenience store pictures, anything. And when you feel that kind of a jolt, it is frightening.
It's frightening, and I think it's also the lack of control. There are a number of questions that go through your mind. Is this the big one? Am I in a safe place? And of course, if you've got a family or other members around you at that point, you want to make sure everybody's secure, your pets. All of these ideas are going through your head as you're trying to get to a safe place. So I think that we've been talking about it. You can't underscore it enough. It is a reminder to all of us to be prepared. I think the communication system is something key that people forget about. Can you communicate with the people you need to get to? You have small children. What do you have in place to be able to speak to your daughters?
Well, we always say we have extra chargers in our purses, so the phone is always extra charged. We have a meeting place if I can't get home in the area if my kids are at school, and we have a meeting spot outside the school, and I have a support of family. But the other thing that you need to have in the car: water, flashlights, batteries, extra set of clothes. You said how many weeks of water? 2 weeks.
2 weeks, they say,
not
in the city of LA.
Not necessarily in the car, but in the house, in the city of LA. Because if these our main lines, our water lines, are hundreds of years old.
And think about
they're
that.
Sensitive.
You know, when you say water and it sounds like a small thing, we need water to survive.
More than food.
Right. So when you think about it, having a 2-week supply of water at the ready is probably the primary thing you need to have ready.
Yeah.
And when people don't have the basics in life, they can get a little aggressive. So it's really important for us all to take care of our individual families so that we can be better citizens in the community and be able to help others.
You know, it's an interesting point. I was talking earlier, Rita was here with me when we were reporting on this. We were talking about earthquake insurance.
Right.
Now's the time to check your policy. Now's the time to check your home. You know, latch things down, check your policy, document what you have in your house, take pictures of what you have in your house. We don't like to be a broken record, but you got to take stock in what your property, your valuables, what you have, obviously precious things like photos. You need everything to be accounted for in case something destructive or the devastation happens in our neck of the woods. Because right now it's 150 miles north, but tomorrow, the next day, it could be right here as an epicenter in Los Angeles.
Right. And it was a big break today, the fact that this is in an area that's not heavily populated. You can imagine in a major metropolitan area, we would probably be telling a different story today. Important to note yet, we haven't really gotten that much information from the officials. We're still hoping to get something out of Kern County Fire that can bring us up to date. Perhaps the most significant thing we've heard is that they evacuated Ridgecrest Regional Hospital, and we want